What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the Lost Records Journal, Player One Visible's Lost Records Focus podcast. I'm one of your co-hosts, Judge Riaz, and my co-host,
Uh,
Adam Evalt.
Oh, yes, that's me. Did you not, think of a nickname this time?
Yeah, but you don't like what's his face? The Game Ranks guy,
Falcon?
Falcon. Yeah, you don't like Falcon. You don't like the Eagle. You can be the Raven if you want. Lost Records
I never
motif.
said I didn't like the eagle. When did I protest the eagle?
I don't know, but
I'm
you
the
can be
one
the
that came up
Raven.
with the name.
You can be the Raven then, like
That's
this,
Baltimore. I'm from Philly.
and you like right next to each other.
What? Oh,
I know. I was joking.
anyways, well, welcome back to Lost Records.
Yes, welcome back to the people because obviously this is a big, big episode. This is probably the second biggest episode that we've done, obviously, because we did the review for tape one. And now this is obviously our review for tape two, Rage, which was released on the 15th of April. We're currently recording the 16th of April. I'm hoping that you get this on the 17th of April because we're turning this over fast time. But before we start, if you are new here, please do like the video, share with your friends, subscribe. If you do not like this video, you've played tape two, you know what's going to happen. Bang, bang, Judge Riaz, in the hole you go. The Raven is going to push you in. That's what he's going to do. He's going to do it for me. I have peasants here. The
Yes.
Raven will be in you go.
Yes.
Yes,
Exactly. The
exactly.
Baltimore Raven.
Exactly. The Baltimore Raven, as he is, signing off wherever he is at the minute. That's what's going to happen. So he's going to push you in. So, yes, please like the
Yes.
video, share your friends, subscribe. We are literally at 1699 subscribers when we're recording now. So, help us get 1700. It'd be greatly appreciated. And the Lost Records Journal is available on all podcast services. So, it's available on Spotify with the video version, Apple Podcasts. So, you can go and get us over there as well. If you follow us, you can instantly get access to the episodes as soon as they become available. And also, please rate us as well. It helps boost our visibility. We got 26 5-star ratings on Spotify, which is amazing. So thank you so much for that. And obviously, we've got 97 followers as well on Spotify, which is amazing as well. So please do like that. And obviously, we do host Strange Casts. So you might see us as very familiar, and we host that podcast, and you should go and check it out so you can wallow in our misery with us. But there's no misery here, Adam, because we are now on to Lost Records. So before we start, obviously, for what's the word now I'm looking at now? Transparency. We
Mm.
got codes from Don't Nod from the first tape, so we need to make that clear again that we were given codes from Don't Nod. A big thank you again to Marin for helping us get that sorted out. So Adam has got a code for the Xbox Series X or whatever version it is from Xbox, and I am
Mm.
currently on PlayStation 5. I also bought a copy of the game because I want to support the independent developers as Don't Nod are, and also to give you my unbiased opinion on this game. So, if you have watched our review for tape one, this will be structured in the same way. So, it's going to be structured with a review to start with. I don't think it's going to be as long as the other one because now we're going through a lot of the same things that are happening there, but it's going to be full on review territory, no spoilers for the main plot points. There will be a review segment score where me and Adam give our scores. We'll give an individual score, and then it's collectively combined to be our podcast score that we'll give it. We do plan on doing a review episode for both tapes collectively. So I feel like we want to review the entire game in its entirety. So do bear with us because we'll do that as well. And I think we might even add a spoiler cast on the end as well. So it'll just be like a continuation of things that have all connected together. And then obviously, spoiler cast, it's in the name, it's spoiler cast. So you will give you a warning before we start that, but that is your final point of no retreat. In terms of content going forward, thumbnails will be quite beige on social posts, right? I think
Mm.
there'll be beige as well, sort of on YouTube as well. As the game gets older, the thumbnails will get more spoilery. So I do warn you about that as well. I'm going to be fair about it because I know people haven't got it yet, but mainly the social posts will be try and be very blank, generic images from Take Two, but they might change from that. But the Lost Records Journal is spoiler filled. Strangecast will be marked where spoiler segments start with Lost Records stuff, but this podcast going forward is nothing more than spoilers. Do not come listening to this podcast
Yes.
if you have not played the game because it's just impossible for us to even try and avoid that. We are specifically a podcast focusing on this. So that's that. So Adam, tape two's out, obviously. So this is the conclusion to Don't Know Montreal's brand new IP, which was Lost Records Bloom and Rage. Was broken up into two tapes. The first tape came out in February. I think it was February 18th off the top of my head. And this one came out in April 15th. It was actually planned for March, I think. It was March 18th. It was planned to come out, but they delayed it. So now we have it. Would you like to start in our review segment?
Yes, this one was much shorter. than the
Mm.
first tape. I wouldn't say there we go. I wouldn't say it was much shorter. I would say, would you agree that was half the time as tape 1?
Maybe in your playthrough. Maybe in your
Yeah.
playthrough. Mine, I think this tape is about 4 to 5 hours, and I think tape one
I did
is,
about a 4-hour playthrough, yeah.
and I
Tape
think
1 was
tape,
about 8 hours.
yeah, or maybe 6 to 8 hours. Let's give it that range. So yeah, it would be a couple of hours short, maybe on that first tape.
Yeah. Yeah, I was ready to, like, play through another 8 hours, but, uh I think because of that short time frame, it was more concise. It was a lot more concentrated. You even said while we were playing it through that the pacing was better in some ways. It was better in a way of just like because it's shorter, there's a lot more story packed in, and I think that that was to its benefit. It wasn't disappointing that it was shorter. It was shorter. Sorry, let me just silence my phone here.
Mm,
Um but to that extent, what did I think of like non-spoilery as we're getting into this? Because of that, I thought this wrapped up the story pretty well in a way that, and I told you this, in a way that we kind of know where the future is. I'm just gonna say that. It didn't really leave on things that just like oh what about this? What about that? It
well,
wraps itself up. What's that?
no, it's actually interesting saying that because the reaction I've seen online, a lot of people are kind of like mixed about the ending and how it. We'll obviously get into some
Okay.
spoiler cast territory, but I just wanted to
Yes.
kind of, because I know you're not like online, but I've seen Reddit posts and other things, and I'm a little bit like I'm a bit more cynical on it a little bit for different reasons. But again,
See,
we'll come on to that. Continue anyway, though.
yeah, like that's the thing because we have the knowledge that this is supposed to be an anthology. Like Lost Records is the anthology. Bloom and Rage is merely the subtitle.
Yeah.
We all know that this is going to be an anthology. I thought it wrapped up in the way that an anthology would.
Hmm.
You know, wrapping up in a way that's like this is the start of the lore of Lost Records. So I, because I knew that. Now, if I didn't know there was an anthology, if I was just a new fan,
Hmm.
right, and I was going into this like expecting it to be a standalone story, was the ending a little bit, less wrapped up? Sure, but I know it in perspective that this is an anthology. Uh, I thought it wrapped itself up nicely on that way. So in terms of gameplay, I thought this was improving on itself in terms of like getting collectibles. I thought this was a lot more concise on collectibles. I thought this was a better side to the story as well. Um, and like I said before, this is kind of like the part 1, part 2 of those old school movies in the
Mm.
2010s, right? Old school, back in the day, where everything came out as part 1, part 2. This is definitely that part 2. This is definitely where everything wraps up, and tape 1 was merely like the context to where we lead. So, I have nothing but praise for tape 2. I think it was a great playthrough. It was a great story. The possibility of endings when we get to that, the possibility of endings actually was just like, okay, wow, I need to rethink some choices I made. So I don't know. I thought it was a satisfactory game for the full price of $40.
Mm.
Full price for $40. I think there's a lot of playthrough. There's a lot of replayability. Um, it's just a great game. So yeah, no, I have nothing but praises.
No, it's a good take. Like there was a lot of positives to take away from it. There's some also negatives I took away from the experience as well. And even on the pacing side of things, because like this game reminds me a little bit, and I don't want to disrespect Don't Not either from it, but and just for comparison's sake, it reminds me
Yes.
of a little bit of the Deathly Hallows film that was split into two parts from
Well, that's what
David
I was gonna
Yates.
say. That's what I mean. Part 1 and part 2, it's definitely like Deathly Hallows.
Yeah, so it's not like it's not a negative way of saying that the game is like, that one part is more inferior than the other. It's the same way in the sense of like how Harry Potter that book is written, because it's like it is really heavy at a certain point and then the other parts are really slow. And even split the films up, I didn't really agree with that choice because that was like part of that entire film industry era where it was like part one, part two, and we'll just milk out even more in the box office. And I don't
Mhm.
think Don't Nod planned that for this game, but this game for me, I just don't know if the intention was always to commit to tapes. I haven't looked at the interviews, like the past interviews before I came on here, I don't know if it was always that it was built with that intention in mind, or they split it in production and they made that decision. Like that's what I don't know about it because it feels like a decision where Resident Evil went episodic. Do you remember when Resident Evil went episodic with that game,
That
Revelations
was
2?
Revelations. Yeah.
Yeah, and it
Yeah.
went episodic, and I was like, "Really? Did it need to be episodic?" 'Cause it's like, this doesn't really feel it was a built game. It was the full game,
Yeah.
and they split it episodically, and again, I don't know the full context
Well,
of Lost Records in terms of
let me give you some light, some comparison to be like, you know what, it wasn't as bad. What's more egregious, that Lost Ark: Bloom and Rage was split into two parts, or that the Hobbit movies are split into three movies? What's
yeah.
more egregious?
It yeah, I mean, well, I think we answered that, like, yeah. Um, it's not that it's bad, it's not that it's bad, it's just I'm sitting there with that same view that you always had with The Expanse where you played it, and you said it would look
Yes.
collectively better in its full part, and this game looks collectively better in its full part. So when you play it
Mm,
together, it looks great as it is, and it's the unevenness of the story at the minute, and I think maybe we'll come on to this in the full review episode that we'll do, where it's like, both of it, 'cause I don't wanna come across as all negative, 'cause it's like I'm just pointing out how I felt with the story structure because the pacing is good. The pacing is good in
yes.
this one. It feels like basically episode 3, 4, and 5 of Life is Strange combined of one.
Yes.
And it's like that's the pacing, and it kind of like kicks into high gear. And it's because you've kind of spent enough time in the world exploring building part anyway, because obviously, I think one of the points that I found in the game is that I had already done so many of the graffiti montages and stuff that I didn't really start recording other bits and start editing them, splicing them. I felt like I'd already done that so much, and it wasn't really, that clean in terms of the instruction that they were always going to do that. But generally speaking, the story was paced really well. I think, personally speaking, and again, we'll get more into this in the spoiler territory part because I know some people felt maybe it was a bit slower at the start, but I thought it started off really well. Um, so that was all good. And then in itself as well, like the experience to be shorter is fine as well because we're nearing the finish line of the game. I just still sit there thinking like, because we were talking about this in terms of the two-part release, and I was saying to you, for example, this might also have been a bit of a bit of a detrimental move in parts because like
Mm,
for example, people aren't reviewing Tape 2 at release. So it's like people aren't reviewing Tape 2 at release and giving it review scores because at the moment, the Metacritic score stands on the first tape, and the first tape was very polarizing.
mm,
So if you're like, the second tapes come out, and then you go and search on Google saying, "Oh, I want to look at Lost Records reviews," you're getting reviews for the first
mhm.
tape, and that might be a bit of a knock-on effect here. Considering if the game was released in its full entirety, maybe it would have like carried a bit more and it got a really high critical score. And I think that
Sure.
period of like that theory converting part. Yes, it was fun for us to do it between February and April, but it was mainly built on the end of the tape that we did it because obviously what happens at the end of the first tape, that was where it's like,
Mm,
oh, actually, that's going to be where our theories mainly manifest from. But it didn't feel like the first Life is Strange period in terms of like the time that you spend in between each
mm.
months really theory crafting because that game felt like it was built episodically, wasn't it? It's like, it's built with that intention in mind. So with this, the game is interesting to see just from Tape 2 perspective, and obviously I thoroughly enjoyed it. Let's just start with that because I feel like it's coming across as that way. It was very good, and there were just
It
other
sounds like
things.
your main concern, right? So, like, let's put it this way: we both have concerns, right? We both have
Yeah.
things that we didn't love, but your main concern is that it shouldn't have been split. But other than that, you don't have any other main concerns.
a- Mainly like the little niggling issues that I had with the game. So obviously, like the voice syncing is like another. We talked about this in the first tape where it's like
Mm,
the audio is overlapping on things, and it's like the motion, like the way that the lip syncing, it does come. It's so difficult because like when you're appreciating the game for what it's doing, and it's still doing what it's doing in Life is Strange One, that lip syncing does hold back the full potential where you really enjoy the performances as they come out, which is a bit of a shame for that reason. But that was the only issue, and then the other one was that technical again is still like really limited, man. Like there was like moments where the PlayStation 5 was like really like pull it, like this game was getting pulled back by it. It was like, it was just struggling with like jittering things. And we spoke about the console
mm.
differences as well. Um,
Yes, you had more glitches than I did, and that was also the same case as the first tape. The first tape
yeah,
had much more glitches on the PS5 than it did on the Xbox.
yeah,
And I reached out to, like, somebody from the Donon team, and, they had said as well, like, more glitches are on the PS5 than the Xbox, so, yeah, that's kind of unfortunate.
yeah. It's just because like, it's like that. that financing, like, I think we'll talk about in a Strange Cast episode. I think we're gonna talk about Don't Nod's earnings and stuff. It's like, oh man, like if this game just had Deck Nine's motion capture technology harnessing it, like my god, man, like the game would just be unreal. And if it had like maybe a publisher, like I get it as well because like it's independence and it's protecting the IP and creativity, and we get what we get with Lost Records because of it being independent, but it needs like an extension marketing arm or something where it gets it out to other people. I'm gonna leave that because it's another conversation for a different point. But like generally speaking, I'm only putting on the niggling things because, like, generally, we've talked about other things, and some of the other gameplay aspects we'll have to talk in the spoiler cast because they are related to the story points. Um, I enjoyed it though. Like, did I enjoy the gameplay experience? Yes. I think the pacing was good and it was steady and it was getting to the point, among many other things. It's just that it feels like all the action this needed to partly be at the beginning of the first tape as well, just to even it out a bit and give it that kind of like, because like that's the sell you're doing for now, people. Because it's like if someone's buying the game now in full release, they're gonna have to enjoy that slow burner to start with, then get to the full acceleration that it gets to now. And it's like, I'm just a bit like I'm fine with the size of the tape. I'm fine with the length of the tape, and certain segments really stood out for me, and even the plot points. Music is obviously great as well. Obviously, we got the second part of the soundtrack, so it was really fun to listen to that. But
Yeah, the Veil was awesome, dude. The Veil was
I,
awesome on this tape, yeah.
yeah, it's quite amazing that like I think like that's probably a dream moment for Don't Know Montreal as well, with like the Chromatics members coming
Mhm.
back together to make this song for them, and obviously having been big
Yeah.
Twin Peaks fans as they are, like they must be like mind blowing for them. Um, it's a very good game. It's a very good thing. My staff and negative Nanciness at the beginning was just to point out little things that are like issues within the game, which these are things that I hope that Don't Nod is willing to put more money into this studio and the project
Mhm.
to build more like, more quality assurance, more other things with it. This is game development issues where it's like, where developers, especially if you're indie as well, like it's so difficult to kind of like get your game going. And this is why I've always had fights with people. I'm saying like,
Mhm.
Life is Strange is AAA. It was AAA at one point. Like AAA has lost all meaning now because it might not be AAA in this market, but it was AAA in 2015. And when Square
Sure.
Enix is bankrolling it and giving you money and then refining it with all their services, so not just the marketing, but also in the sense of external studios, in terms of all those people that work on it and help refine the product, the
Mhm.
game comes out a lot more cleaner. And it's with this game as well. It's just like you can see it's the same vein as like this bed we made, which is currently in a bundle with in terms of on Steam. You can go and check that out. I had that game as well, and you can see that it's just like those like creaks that come into it because it's an independent game, and it is
Yeah.
what it is for the industry. But generally speaking, I really enjoyed that portion of the game, and I thought it was well paced. I thought it was a lot better paced as well, and where we got to in the story was good as well. Um, and then even like other parts of the environment obviously is gorgeous. We spoke about Sam Bradley, the art director on
Mhm.
this game, that is like unbelievably talented. It was fantastic to see his job on that. And then in terms of the different locations we visited, which were really nice as well, I think they were good checkpoints that we went to, and it felt more linear than the first tape, I think. Like the first tape
Mhm.
was where you could explore a bit more in terms of certain areas. This was like, we're going to point, and we're going to that point, we're going to that point, we're going to that point. And you could explore with them, but I felt like it was like we're directing you because the story needs to move on at a fast pace, and keep up that pace. So
Mhm.
yeah, I generally thought so far good. And I think like my main one to kind of give a shout out to amid like all that as well. I think there was a lot of expectation of Michel Co in this project. Because obviously, like, if we've known Michelle and all the way back from Remember Me, and then like to Life is Strange
Mhm.
1 and 2, there was always that expectation that he was working with Raoul Barbet as co-director, but this is Michel's first outing as a solo director, and also the studio creative director at Don't Know Montreal. And I think
Mhm.
he really delivered for what he did on this project. And I think he again signed off his position as, for me at least, as an auteur in the video game industry, as someone that I think, got David Lynch, God rest his soul, would be very proud of seeing as someone who's like taken his influence and put it into his own way and his own style. Jean-Luc and obviously Michel have a very distinct style, and you can see it in their games. And it shows the characters, they have heart, they have soul. I think like Don't Nod, the way that Don't Nod creates characters and environments and everything mixes together, it's like that's just what's Don't Nod's strength is, and they really need to tap into that going forward. Like even in their Paris division, I feel like Paris doesn't have that same division now because these guys have moved out to Canada. Um, but yeah, generally speaking, very very good though. And then even the acting performances as well. I think um, you know, Olivia Lepore is fantastic, obviously, and the same with Andrea Carter, Natalie LeConte, Amelia. They're all fantastic. All the actors who play the girls are fantastic. Even Jordan Dawson as well, who plays Corey, is
Mhm.
fantastic. And I think we'll talk about him more as well in later sections. But I think they all did great. And again, Philip Barker does Philip Bark things as well. You know, he's always been a great VO director, and it's
Yeah,
great to see what he's done this game. So yeah, I feel like generally my experience has been mixed with, and I know I'm ranting for a while, but it's like more, it's mixed with not negative negatives. It's negatives of what could have been positives quite easily had the
sure.
financing been there, had the production things been there, had all the benefits been there. You know, Michelle's the kind of guy you was it that you was talking to? Where it's like you know you want him to have a Ubisoft budget. Did you
I
mention
was
that?
saying that. Yeah.
Is that one when we were
Yes.
talking to Cole? I can't remember if we did it on an episode or not.
Yeah, when you called me, in
Oh
the middle of
yes,
the night. Yeah. I was sleeping. I was like, "And then what? Like, what did you think about that?" It's like, "And in this middle of the night, what did you think? Crumpets or tea? What would you think?"
oh god. Yeah, I forgot that was last night. Jesus Christ, my head is gone. No,
Ubisoft budget.
yeah, the Ubisoft budget is what he needs, and that's what's seen with it. Because like everything I've said so far, before someone jumps on me in the comments,
Mhm.
is not a negative about this game. It's not like an overly negative, like oh my god, it's broke my game. Yes, there were some bugs, and some of them stopped me at some points. I had to reload checkpoints. Um, but I thought that if these are refined, they're good stepping stones to go forward, and there will be improvement. I didn't sit there thinking this game has stopped me from enjoying from that. I think it's just observant critiquing of like the pacing, the tape structure, the way things are going. If they do want to do the two tape structure, I think they have to build them as two tapes separately and then do it as a release. So it's like it's at least evenly paced. Because that first episode, man, it's just that first tape's leaving me a little bit thinking like that's someone's first experience of this, or if someone learns about Lost Records and then Google searches it, they're looking at the reviews for tape one. And it's like the tape two reviews aren't there right now when we're recording as well. So it's like I'm asking these big questions about it. But you know, I love the Don't Nod team. I really do. I love Montreal. I love the independentness of their studio and what they're doing. And I hope that they take these as, you know, I hope this is not personal, but it's just my genuine opinion on things. Because I
Yes.
really love their games and really enjoy them. But yeah, it was an interesting experience done nonetheless.
Okay. Name one thing that's, like, super positive in you, because you just went on a rant of, like, negative.
Did I?
Yeah.
I
Name
thought
name one thing, name one thing that was, like, super positive for you.
But I said it in there. I said the music was great. The acting was great. Come on, you can't. No, don't twist this narrative. We're gonna delete the recording
Tell
and
tell
start
me
again. Otherwise,
Shoko how good of a game he had.
I love Michelle. I absolutely adore him. Great.
Yes.
Um,
Yes.
no, don't you dare do that. Don't you do that. Dare that. Michelle just liked my tweet as well. Then as well, and you've now just put me
Yeah.
in like a really horrible place with this. I'm not having that. No, no. It's great. It's a great game. You just
It's
like
like
making you
my
twisting the
wife comes
narrative
out with,
here.
like, a beautiful dress, like, "What do you think?" It's like, "I like the fabric. The fabric is nice."
And that's what I would say as well. Can people not get autism right now? It's like that's what it is. It's greatly
Yeah.
laced with it. If I hated this game, we'd be on a 2 hour unhinged double exposure rant by now. But we're not on that,
Yes.
are we? We're thoroughly
I'll give
enjoying
you
this
something
game
I
for what it
hated.
is.
I'll give you something I hated just to
Oh, now
balance
you're gonna
things
do it,
out.
aren't you? So everyone's like commenting away on me, being like, "Oh, well, this is," and now he does it in like what 25 minutes into the
Well,
recording.
I might be, like, a little bit more biased on this, not because we cover Don't Not, but because I'm also in the on the independent, creative side, right? And I give a lot of leeway to, like, under budget projects. Like, right now, um, yeah, I'll be tweeting this pretty soon, but, like, I'm, currently composing for an indie film, a very, very small indie film. And both the film artist and myself are under, like, constricted budgets, and I always hope that, like, people give some kind of leeway to, like, under budget projects, like, they have the vision, but just not the budget, and you don't understand that until you're in it, that you start to say, like, "Hey, I'm giving so much leeway on this because it is under budget from what it should be."
Well, do you see when I roll my head about that? I know that you just set me up because you're now like not coming across as villain, are you? It's like, oh no, I actually understand from the independent developer side, and that's it. So I let him
Yes.
get stitched up for 20 minutes talking and trying to flip flop and give both sides. And now I'll come in and be
Yes.
like, oh well, I understand as the
But
independent
that That's what
creative.
I mean, though. It's just kinda like I'm more positive. I'm trying to say that I'm more positive because I'm biased. Like, because I'm biased because I want people to, like, see more independent films as, like, a little less than what they think. It is unfortunate because Don't Nod is in such an in between. They're not exactly the indie studio, but they're not the triple A. So they're in
No,
this weird kind of
in
budget.
between.
They're so in between that it's kind of hard to categorize. It's kind of hard to
But
like
they argue
critique.
that they're independent though, because they've done the indie
Yes,
showcases and stuff. But like even for
that's what I
a
mean though. It's like
studio,
that's what I mean though. It's like let's say oh, like this bed we made. Why doesn't it get the same kind of hype as Hollow Knights? They're both
yeah,
independent studios. You know what I mean? It's kind of like to say something that is independent is a whole mess of just like wide
yeah,
berth because technically Donut is independent, technically, right? But so is the game that I composed for that isn't released yet. Both both things are independent. Are they classified in the same thing? No.
yeah,
So that's why I just feel like Don't Know Montreal especially is in this weird in between of critique where just like there's the vision and they have enough budget to get that vision going, but not enough budget to
yeah,
get that vision like really emphasized, you know? Um it really sucks. You know what sucks the most? And I'll say this. I'll say this. Um I hope this gets into the game awards,
yeah,
but I don't have a ton of confidence because this is such a niche thing and because it's in that weird in between. Whereas like, something as independent I believe they're independent. I believe. I'm not sure, okay? I haven't researched this, but Blueprints that just came out,
I think he is
oh my god.
independent. I'm pretty
I'm
sure he
pretty
is.
sure it is. I'm pretty sure it is. But Blueprints is independent, and they're already talking about Game of the Year, which I'm playing it, and my god,
Blueprint,
it's
the blue truck
Blueprints. So, blue
prince.
and then the word prince. So it is a play on words of blueprints, but it's the blue prince, like royalty
Oh yeah,
prince.
it's an indie game.
Yeah.
It doesn't even
Yeah.
have a fucking. It doesn't even have a
Well, like,
Wikipedia page, Adam.
that's what I mean, though. It's like, but we all thought that Dave the Diver was independent, and this is to my point. We all thought that Dave the Diver is independent, but it was actually funded by Mojang, I wanna say,
Yeah,
but it was, like, one of the highest Korean, publishers out there, so,
or
um yeah.
Oxenfree with Netflix as well and stuff like that. It's like,
Well, the first Oxenfree was
well,
free,
that's
it was
independent,
independent.
but
Oxenfree 2, however, I think I'm not sure where that cross line came in between Netflix budgeting and Oxenfree 2, um, but that's the point. It's kinda like this game is in one of those places where it's in a limbo of like how do you critique this, right? So like this bed we made, you give a lot of you give a lot of leeway to it because you know it's independent.
yeah,
Whereas like something like South of Midnight, which I also played, that being triple A, and I'm just like, I enjoyed the gameplay and I'm fully capable of critiquing that game. That's where it leaves me with Lost Records.
yeah,
Um, because I'm staying positive on this, because I see where the vision is. I see like because I know where I am in independent creation. I want people to see where my vision is, but not necessarily where my budget is. This game, I see where the vision should have gone, and I have high hopes for the next Lost Records game. I think they figured it out. I think they figured out where their presets are essentially, right? I'm just trying to put this in terms. They know where their presets are. They have their systems down. They are comfortable in their studio. They've launched a game. They've released a game, right? The next game in this anthology, I have a lot of high hopes for because they have the groundwork down.
you stitched me up there, didn't you? Just like make
Yeah, well,
yourself
yeah.
look good whilst you're doing it.
I
Let me
always
just
look good.
preface this
Yeah,
again.
have you seen the
When
light on my face? I always look good.
whilst I was talking about this, let me preface this that all that stuff that I said at the front was not overtly like I'm criticizing Call of Duty. It's about
Yes.
context of things that could be easily better because ultimately I
Yes.
still enjoyed the experience I had. So I'm just saying that in an
Yeah.
independent sense, there are things that can be better. You're right as well, because like the independent, the foundation's been set, but it's like with Don't
Mhm.
Nod, it's not even Montreal's issue that I have here. It's like Paris. Like they need the marketing team in there. They need people to be making TikToks
Mhm.
every single day and pushing them out
Yeah.
onto basically one of the biggest video platform services ever, where basically you do one character. Like Abby did it as well. She got massive views off one Lost Records video, and it's like we talk about this repeatedly. We even had someone on the comments saying that I was like a legacy Life is Strange fan, and I found it
Mm,
via TikTok. It's like use it. It's like the most free advertising platform ever. You don't even
mhm.
have to pay adverts for it. You just basically put it out there, and it puts an algorithm out to other people, which is
Yeah.
fantastic for that. And that's why this bed we made got loads of success. Olivia said it as well. They still get massive success off of TikTok views, like Low Birth. They make tons of them. They're like, why not? Like
Yeah.
just do that with reels and stuff like that.
Like,
It's
even
like,
for musicians, I know, like, Caster Garden could be bigger if I used TikTok, and I tried.
y-
I really tried, and it's just, like, it's not the fact that I wasn't getting results, it's more of just, like, oh, like, it's exhausting. It's just exhausting doing it. Now, I am now putting it in perspective, like, with Caster Garden, I am the musician, I am the mixer, I am the master, I am the marketer, I am also well, not anymore, but I'm working full time, like, for someone that's independent like me, but like you said, Donut Montreal has a marketing team. Like there it's not the marketing
there's
team like
two of them.
Ubisoft.
There's two of
There's
them.
just 2.
It's Marin,
It's
and I can't remember who. There's two people in them. I'm pretty sure the credits
yes,
are two people in there. That's just from
uh,
Montreal.
the associate marketing, I believe. Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah, but that's what I mean. It's yes, it's 2 people, but it's not like Ubisoft's like entire marketing team. Um That's what I mean. Don't Nod and I'm trying to think of like other studios are in this limbo where people have the high expectations, but they don't necessarily have the budget, the resources as what everybody expects them to be.
Don't know
Uh
Montreal has
yes.
two marketing. It's in the credit. I'm looking at the credits now. It has two credits. I even looked at it yesterday because I was like, what that?
Yes.
So Don't know Montreal's Bloomer Rage's Montreal marketing is Marin, who is the senior brand manager, and the marketing
Mm,
coordinator, who's Nalia Hadajas, I think it is.
yes.
So it's two people. So you have two people
Yes.
basically marketing this to everything amid Marin doing his other things, which is like doing
Yes.
trailers and stuff. So like the scale is like so small in terms of like getting out there. Like I understand from this,
Yeah.
I am being genuine. Like when I was saying what I was saying
Yes.
earlier, it was laced with like positivity because it's like actually you
Mhm.
should just release the tape as one because it would have been like
Yeah.
bang, and then IGN will more likely review it
I agree with
because
you, and I think Michel loves his episodic games. He really hit it, or like the whole team hit it with Life is Strange 1. Life is Strange 2, it was a little rocky with
mm,
the release schedule. And we're trying it again here. And unfortunately, I don't think this is necessarily Michel's fault. I think that we're in
no,
yeah, this is 2015 versus 2025.
mm,
Um, to tell somebody that a television series is going to be set out episodically upsets people nowadays. And that sickens me, dude. It's like,
yeah,
why are we just, drip feeding? That's what they say. Why are we just drip feeding? I'm like, you mean like how it used to be? That wasn't drip feeding. Like they're just drip feeding to us. Um, that's what I mean. We're in a different climate for media consumption, and not even this media consumption, but more concisely in the game scene. Like,
yeah,
game media consumption is so much different than it was 10 years ago, that I do agree with you that if this game was just released like True Colors was, where, like, there's chapters, like, there's tape 1, there's tape 2. We saw this with The Expanse too. The Expanse had some rocky, starts with,
mm,
that release. Who knows how Wolf Among Us 2 who knows if Wolf Among Us 2 will be a thing, but
yeah,
who knows? Like, I'm not trying to knock this game for being episodically because Michelle is used to that. This whole team
yeah.
is used to that. However, like what your critiques were, I do agree with. It's a different climate, and I think it kind of like faltered the release a little bit because people are expecting a full release, but they're
Yeah.
getting a in their mind drip fed broken game quotations.
That's what they used to say about the Telltale games and the other games in the
Yeah,
past. Like even those games
yeah,
got it. It's It's not that I don't enjoy the two-part release, and we even
Sure.
did an episode of Lost Records where we said that could this be the narrative, like, genre-defining change that needed to happen? But it's not, though,
Mm,
because I get with Michel
mm,
Starr because he tells that story as well, and ideally, they should have just done what they probably tried to do with Life is Strange, one where they do it episodically over a period of time, and we split it in, like, a full-blown episodic game, and if you wanna try that, try it and see if it happens. But with this, though, look at the production timeline as well, because it's like, even the game got delayed from last year amid double
mm,
exposure and stuff. And then it got to this year, and then the second tape was delayed because of, X reason, Y reason, like in terms of polishing. So the constraints were still there on the Montreal team. And we'll talk about this in Strange Cast because I do think that Montreal needs to get
yeah,
more money from Donut, from the main Paris division. But it's like the strength of the team needs to be built on it. And it's like they really need to tap into like the marketing on like TikToks. Maybe they'll do it now when the game's out, but like really push it out to more people. It feels like it's being held back a little bit. And it's a good story, and I've really enjoyed all great things, and none of my criticisms so far have been, like, overtly negative where it's like, "Oh, yeah, I stopped playing the game," because like, you
yeah,
know what I'm like if I'm being unhinged in my rants and stuff. It's a measured take about where this game and the way it's done, because it's like, I just couldn't get rid of that David Yates comparison, like, of Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows, like, the way the
mm,
game is paced in terms of the structuring, and, I'm not comparing Michelle to David Yates. David Yates could only dream of being Michelle. I hate David Yates' Harry Potter films.
yes,
But, like, the way that this game is told, it's just that potential now think about it as well, that potential, that first tape now is being no, sorry, the potential of the second tape is now being held back by people who checked out of the first tape just because of
mm,
pacing and the slow structure and the way the game is done. Maybe people go back and now revisit it because the 2 tapes have come out. I know this is amid the review discussion, but I think that it's kind of, like, important to talk about the way this has gone because, like, generally speaking, I could sit here and we could do the same thing about the camera and stuff. We've already covered that a lot on the first tape, and I think we'll get
mm,
back into it in the spoiler cast, but those little things where it's like the technical issues appeared in there. And I saw it with some of the glitches as well that were happening and some of like just the fidelity and stuff. And again, I completely give them transparency for like in terms of being an independent studio. That's why I'm not sitting here doing that. But it's like you can see the difference when Square Enix injects a cash injection into Life is Strange. And then when people say to me, it's like, we don't know, oh yeah, they just had like, it was a still small budget. It's like, no, Square Enix was doing all the marketing for it, all of
mm,
all of external studios is there if they need it. They had
yeah,
freelancers, they had everything they had there. Even Michel didn't have to worry about marketing the game because Square Enix is dealing with it. Maybe it's not a
mm,
high-end budget like Final Fantasy, but you still have a publisher attached to your project and then
sure,
putting money into it, investing in it. So with this game, it's completely, I think in itself, as you probably have just said before, they're probably adapting to that situation. And I think
yeah,
it's been pretty heavy as well because like they started off very small and you see some of the old photos that Luke shared as well. Where it's like, it's just a small studio. It's him, Frederica,
mhm,
and Michelle, and maybe one or two other developers. And it's eventually developed into the studio, which is at I think 50
mm,
plus employees or so. And it's like it's building into something and maybe it has a foundation point. As long as this game's a steady success, then it's
yeah,
fine. And they can
and
springboard
and
off it. Because I think,
and here's where I'm gonna play devil's advocate to not just you, but like to like everybody that's like, but like that's the thing. When I talk about like the vision, why I'm satisfied with this game very much in terms of like, yeah, the money wasn't there, but if the money was there, if he had Square Enix money,
yeah,
right? Let's put this in perspective, okay? Money aside, development aside, how the game looks aside, right? What vision did you like get the most out of, right? Lost Records Blue and Rage, or you know which game I'm going to say.
don't,
You
don't.
Double Exposure. What vision of game direction, right? The game's direction did you get the most out of? Now, if Michelle had Square Enix money, I guarantee you, Garen absolutely tell you this game would have been game of the year. Or not I
Yeah,
shouldn't say that. It would have been game of the year contender, right? Because like the game direction of this game, if it just had some budget to it, if Michelle just had some budget behind him, like just that's that light push. Same thing as Square Enix. Whereas Double Exposure doesn't matter how much money you put behind that game. The vision behind that narrative, the vision behind that game, the game direction was going nowhere,
yeah,
right? Um, whereas Lost Records Excuse me. Whereas Lost Records direction, budget aside, like I was really satisfied where the direction was going in this game.
Yeah.
Uh Money and episodic release aside, because
Yeah,
those are
like,
just two faults. Yeah.
even those, like, again, let me reemphasize this, and this is no
Yes.
bias towards Luke and Michelle. I adore them.
No,
That's not even, like, hidden
because
from
they
that,
watched
and
the
even
show. I don't think we should.
no, but even still, like, I adore them, and I love other developers at Don't Know Montreal and have spoken and interacted with them. It's just the little things, as you said, that could have changed. It's like, for example, even the minor little change, for example, even with that money
Yeah.
influence. Oh, Don't Nod is using Deck Nine's co-development service to do the full performance capture. And imagine
Mhm.
Olivia Lepore in the same room as Andrea Carter, and you're syncing things off that because instead, what you're doing here is
Mhm.
you're doing motion capture, and then Olivia Lepore is going into a booth to record with Philip Bark, and then at that point,
Yeah.
she'll come out of the booth. Um, Andrew Carter goes into the booth and records, and you're not matching the performances, so you're not feeding off each other's energy. And that's not a bad thing necessarily because it worked for Life is Strange back in 2015. But when you watch and when you get spoiled by, for example, what Deck Nine has done with full performance capture, I would dispute anyone who says that the performances aren't great because
Mhm.
you have a performance director, i.e., similar to like a film director, leading the show, and they like that, and they can get everything, they can implement different techniques.
Mhm.
That little change, for example, does what your claim is. This game goes from being here, which is great anyway, to Game of the Year. And
Yeah.
Olivia Lepore would be one-way ticket to the Game Awards, which I think anyway will pay for her crowdfunding to go to the
BAFTA.
Game Awards because she's great. But that's where it elevates it. That's like in the little
Mhm.
things. We had this conversation, and I'm going to do the bingo card player one versus the world here, a double
Yeah.
exposure. Hannah Tell's performance carried the game, and she got a Game Award nomination and made a game which has already been polarizing and
Yes.
mixed from that. So it's the same with Lost Records. There's big question marks to be asked about this because even the future and even with Oscar Gobert, and again we'll cover it in Strangecast coming up, like the mixed model funding and stuff. Is this something they have to sell off to another publisher? Is this something that they do independently? Is there a publisher
Mhm.
that can come in that does marketing for them and they do some kind of like deal which helps them and benefits them
Yes.
and gives them more exposure for this? I don't know all these questions. I'm just building them into the review because the game, I didn't sit there with the game thinking like, if I really didn't like this game, you'd know about it. Like you'd know
Mhm.
very quickly. And it's just me critiquing and giving fine refinement because I just think like with the second tape, I enjoyed the pacing. The sound was good in parts. Even you criticized the sound in the first episode, like in
Yeah,
terms
and
of
that's definitely going into, like, budgeting because I don't know, so if anybody's working at, Donut can tell me. I feel like I feel like there was different mics used for actors. I
yeah,
don't know, I can't really tell, but I feel like there was dynamic mics for some and condenser mics for others, and I can't tell, but the audio wasn't really as succinct as, like, if they were recording in the booth. I don't know. I'm not the audio expert, well, yeah, that goes into it. It's like there's not enough budget
no.
behind this,
But
but
it shows in the performance as well, 'cause I adore Philip Bark. I think he's
mhm,
fantastic. Like, every actor I've ever spoken to has had, like, an incredible reception. The guy, like, VO directed Gonzalo Martin to a BAFTA. That's Michel's
yeah,
writing, Jean-Luc's writing. It shows in the quality, but it's like it's like just being you can see the performances because you can see,
mhm,
like, when they're matching with it, and then obviously the lip syncing's a little bit off. It's like just like, you know, like a little bit more like the extra investment and like the refinement of things. Like this game could go even further on legs as well. And it would then start cracking into a mainstream appeal in terms of getting more people
mhm,
putting their eyes on it because it does have those like little moments where it does look indie-esque in terms of the budget and
mhm,
stuff. And that's just in that caveat. I'm not going to sit here and say that they needed more money and stuff. Like whatever you have your disposals, like you have it with your
yeah,
disposals, and they still produced a very good game from it. And I'm having these conversations. Like, if you don't enjoy this on the podcast, then I'm sorry, but like we have to have these conversations because we're not going to
mhm,
glaze over things, as you say, not gloss. But we're not going to glaze over things. I'm being hit with the
yeah,
kids
no
here.
glazing, just you glazing things is the thing.
What's a glaze?
Do you not know?
What do you mean?
It's glazing mean do you not know what it means?
Yeah, like look.
It to
Oh,
No, like, to glaze something is like man, how do I explain this on camera? When a man loves his hand, he would glaze something. He's a wanker,
oh God.
and yeah, like, that's what it means to glaze something. That's why. It's why, like, they say, like, "Oh, man, they're really glazing this game." It means like a glazed donut. Did you not know that?
No, it's an
Yeah,
American
that's like
thing.
yeah, I guess so. Because like, we're also calling hot dogs glizzies. Yeah. No, so glizzies is because it's a phallic shape. Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna use glossing here as I originally used last time before you corrected me. So when you're glossing over
I
things,
corrected you because I thought you were trying to do like a like an internet lingo. I thought
no, I
you
was saying
knew.
glossing over things because you're glossing over something in that conversation. When you said it was glazing things, I was like, "Oh, okay, that must be the hip lingo." I didn't realize it was that,
Yeah, no,
like, thinking about it.
it means like you love something so much, you're just gonna glaze it. Like, that's what it means.
Anyway, anyway, I'm not going
Yes.
to gloss over something like this because of
Yeah.
for whatever reason. I think it's great, and I think there was a lot of quality in certain components of this. I think we completely go off a complete tangent. I think this almost bled into the full review episode that we're going to do at some point,
Yes.
but there you go. Um, should we go into the review score and then we can move on to the Spoilercast?
Yes, absolutely.
The way you're going to review it?
Are we doing this
Well,
5 stars then, yes?
yes, so we have our 5-star scale for the new listeners.
Mm.
If you haven't watched, we have a 5-star scale, but it's on a 10 scale metric. So it's basically
Yes.
each star is the equivalent of that. So you have a 10-point scale, we do it in 5 stars. So you can have half a
Mm.
star each. And it works off that.
Yes.
And me and Adam have to have an individual score and then we combine it to it. So I think the first tape was a 4.5, and that was basically mine was a 4.5. You had a 4 at first, and then you moved to a 4.5.
Yeah, I think I moved to a 4.5, yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
would you like to go
I'm
first?
standing with 4.5, standing with it, standing with this one. On
Do
this
you reckon?
episode, 4.5. Yeah, I gave it a 5 star on channel 3. That's because there's no 5 points off, right? Like that half point. I gave it 5 stars. I'm ranging between like I think I'm standing on the 4.5 just because I love the direction of this. I love the way it wrapped up to like open up more of Lost Records. There's an open ended where it doesn't need to retcon really a lot.
Mhm.
I love the music. I love I love how we can name all the characters. Like that's the
Yeah.
thing. Name a character in double exposure,
Please
besides
stop hitting the
Max.
bingo card. This bingo card is
Yeah.
going off. It's every single episode,
That's what I
every
mean. It's
single
like
show.
name something on South of Midnight's, besides Crouton, right? Like these are memorable characters. These are characters that you really connected with. I like the vision. I love the 90s aesthetic. I love the choices you can make in this game. It's essentially that half star. I think there are some pacing issues with this one, particularly in the cabin. And we already just discussed about this.
Yeah, of course.
I think I think that alone knocks it off half a star for me. But other than that, I really enjoyed myself with this one.
Yeah, very good. That's very good.
Yeah, yeah.
My review score was
If you as a game journalist, me as a glazer, but like what would you
Glazer.
give?
If I was
What
reviewing it
would you
back in the industry, if I was back then,
Yes. Yes.
I would give it
This tape, not the whole game, the tape.
this tape out of its
Yes.
5-star rating. I would give it a 5.
Oh, okay. Wow. A
Yeah,
5, a perfect?
perfect score.
Even the cabin scene. Okay. The cabin scene.
This is why it's ironic because if you listen to the first 40 minutes of me jumping back and forth, you're going to be like, "What the fuck is that? How is he giving it a 5-star?"
Yeah.
Technical
Well,
any
no, you
game.
were more complaining about not complaining. You were more critiquing on how it was released, the budget behind it, and you're more the technicalities, not necessarily.
Yeah,
Like, you're talking about everything like the intangibles of this game, something that we're all gonna forget about in a year or 2, but you're talking about the game in of itself a 5.
my criticisms were on things that could be improved that would make it even
Yes.
better as a game. And I think mine was more on the fact that it's for other people as well, because ultimately, when I review a game, in a real world, nothing is a 10 out of 10 in real world. Like nothing can ever be a 10 out of 10. Everything always has to be like a 4.5 or a 4, like just
Mhm,
below that. Nothing's ever going to be 5 stars because nothing's perfect. And I hold that even my favorite games of all time, Metal Gear and stuff, not a 10 out of 10 for everyone. And also they do have issues
mhm,
and bugs. Even putting aside the bugs, the
mhm,
pacing, everything else with it, this game for me is unequivocally, at least this episode is a 5 out of 5. Because even where
mhm.
the disrupting parts of the pacing might come in and other things creep in, ultimately, it just reinforces what Michel does and he lands games. He lands
Mhm.
games in a way that Deck Nine can't, as we've talked about before, in terms of that previous Deck Nine writing team. They can't land a game to save their life. That previous team that was working on Double Exposure, for example, and like other
Mhm.
games, even True Colors, for example, in parts. So with him, he understands his story and he understands how to deliver what he's delivering at the end impactfully in an impactful way. And with this game, despite the bugs, despite the other issues, I can still give it a high rating because even when I was in the industry, I reviewed the council and I gave some of the episodes pretty high scores compared to like other people as well. And
Which
it
is
had,
wild. That's wild. Dude, that game, Council, like, talk about a
but
mind freak.
but
Yes.
my review scores shifted in that. So like even the first episode started off for like a 4 out of 5, and then it went down. So I think like by the time we got to like
Mhm.
the fifth episode, I think it was like a 3.53 because the story goes bonkers,
Yes.
isn't it? Like towards the end, I'm not having that, but like generally
Bonkers
speaking,
is a light way
don't
of,
ruin
like,
it for
putting where
people.
it goes.
I recommend to anyone. French studio, Big Bad
I
Wolf, go and buy it. It's great. It's
I
cheap.
do
It's
I do recommend getting the Council because the direction of where that game goes is not something that it's not something you can make up. Like, I
no.
could tell you it, and you're like, "You're lying." It's you can't make it
And
up.
it has all the great like setups for things in that game as well. It's just like it doesn't land. So ultimately, this game
And Olivier de
lands.
Riviere.
And Olivier de Rivière. So it's like, you have like great music, you have all the other stuff, but it just doesn't land. This game for me though, even that criticism I was giving in terms of the pacing and stuff, if it collectively added together, then it would be like, oh, actually, we're sitting here having a debate if it's a 4.5 or a 4 or a 5. And I know you were just saying we're measuring off this tape.
Mhm.
I don't see much
Mhm.
that takes me away from a 5 rating at the moment.
Yes.
And that's
The
me
tape
putting,
itself.
yeah, just the tape
Yes.
itself, because even putting my biases aside from Don't Nod and even from Michel and Luke, the way that this story is told and the way it wraps up, it does it in a way where I was really worried and had a little bit of a creeping feeling that it might lose sight because of what other people were saying. And ultimately, where I see some
Mhm.
people's other expectations where they feel let down, it's because you set completely wrong expectations for this game, in my opinion.
Yes.
You were comparing it to Life is Strange. You think it was going to be Life is Strange. This game was never Life is Strange. I even stopped calling it the spiritual successor months ago on the podcast. I even said it in one
Yeah.
one episode where I was like, I don't see it like that. You have to see it in the same way as Oxenfree meets other games, where it's like a
Yeah.
quartet characters, and that is where the dynamic changes. The way that this game tells it as well, and by the end of it, this is what I think when Michel said it was the true coming of age story he wanted to tell. I feel like it fulfills that for different reasons. Whether your ending is something you liked or not, I think maybe you look at it differently. No different from Life is Strange 2. Life is Strange 2 had very different endings. I think some people were like, I love that ending, and sometimes I don't. I think it defines who you are as a person, the choices you make. And
Mhm.
it was the way that the game subverted expectations. Because we'll get into some of the plot points. So it's like when the box arrives and you start unwrapping it, I was like, what? I was like, we're unwrapping it
Yeah.
now, like so early. I was like, no. I was like, we thought we
Yeah,
could
that's
do it
what I said.
later.
I was like,
So
yeah.
it has a good
So
constant.
I wanna get into spoilers about that, but yeah.
So it has good constant like pacing. It has good pacing. It might slow down in parts, but it needs to because a lot of things are happening. And generally speaking, the performances are fantastic. I think the actors really took their parts and delivered it. And when I put my controller down at the end of the game, I was like, I'm happy with that. I'm very happy with that.
Mm,
I think it delivered on all the expectations I had and exceeded them because at one point I thought the game was going to go completely off field as well, and then it didn't, and it stayed thankfully on course, which is always a good thing. I'm very happy with the review score I give it. Does it have flaws and other issues and other things I can like level criticism at? Yes. But I think this is in the same vein as the first Life is Strange in terms of 3, 4, 5, in terms of that quality of episodes. And I think even if in itself, compared to Polarized, I think it delivers even like it lands even
mm,
better in certain respects because it gives you so many variations. Like obviously it depends on which ending you picked in the first Life is Strange. This game does really well in terms of setting up certain expectations and certain things, even when the characters disappear. Like, so you might even end the game just on your own, and that's even a big one because I was like, oh, it's actually it's gonna they're gonna have to all be there. It's like no, no, they're not gonna necessarily all be there. For me, I think it's a very, very, very strong tape, and I think for the pacing, the time, any more time on this tape, I think I also would have been like, oh god, this is dragging a little bit because it feels like everything is starting to wrap up the connecting plot points, the threads, and there's just some shots in this game and stuff. Even when the camera flips to Swan and stuff, I love that moment as well. It's like it's just surreal when you see what she looks like in the older adult version. Um, yeah, that's my position though. I do think it's a five, personally speaking.
Okay. Yeah, I'll agree. I'll
But
agree
where do
to a
we
5.
settle?
5.
No fight.
5. No, 5. 5.
Well,
Yeah.
I would have probably I also would have come down to 4.5 realistically because I see where you're coming from as well, where it's like there's those things that hold it back. And maybe I'm
Mm,
like a little bit like, oh, I'm like really excited for it. But I think even times I've just not stopped thinking about this game since I finished it. And I'm thinking about the
mm,
like different endings and the different plot points. And we were talking about all the different choices you can have in certain circles. It was like, this is really smart in certain places. So it's really, really smart. It's telling something different. And the biggest compliment I can give it as well with that is that this game deserves to stand alongside, if not even exceed stuff like Oxenfree in terms of the narrative style, the quality of it, the storytelling. Like we were Life is Strange was criticized for cringe and lazy criticism. Cringe is good in certain respects. Sometimes it's not. Life is Strange handled cringe really well in terms of its
mm,
good cringe. This game is like where we get to like Night School Studio level in terms of storytelling in a deserving highest respect. Ex Telltale game developers who made like a really, big niche kind of game in terms of the contradiction that, niche kind of cult classic kind of game with Oxenfree. And this game kind of sets itself in that bracket, being like it deserves to be there. Um, yeah, I do think that even amid my little critiques and stuff, I think it's like a five for me.
yeah, I'll agree. Yeah.
Perfect. So it's on the same pedestal as road of rules. So that's where it gets on my score. That's where let's
Yes.
go. So you're happy with being a 5 star? There we go.
Yeah.
Like when we do the full review episode, that score might come down because obviously there's a 4.5 in the first, and I think we have to like look at the full body of the entire game at that point. But it's very strong for me, and I
Mhm.
didn't walk away ever thinking that there's loads of problems. Yes, there's niggling little issues, and I've had this with other games in the past, but it's not enough for me to put the controller down. I'll be like, "This is boring," or anything else like that. I will still commit to the game, and I enjoyed it thoroughly for what it was. It was a great story, great characters, great actors, performance direct. From a VO director, from the director's chair. I think all the aspects came together. The art, the lighting, the environments. Like, geez, it's all the right tones as well. It's just being held back in certain respects because of like just budgeting, finance, da da da. Da. But as a game development perspective, I thought it was fantastic.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, absolutely. Like I said, it's a lot to offer with a low price for what it is.
Yeah. Oh, the quality, the price is insane. Like 15% discount as
Yeah.
well at launch. Like now as well if you bought it. Like
Yeah.
you could buy 2 or 3 of these games. Support your independent developers. Support them,
Mm.
man. Like, honestly, like, I would sooner pay 4 times over for Bakir's game than buy, like, a Ubisoft game now, and the same with, like, Lost Records. I would sooner buy 2 Lost Records games than go and buy, like, another AAA, like, Dogma game, which is, like, just lost all its soul. Like, look how much they charge you for, like, Nintendo games now as well, and, like, all other stuff. Like, I know Nintendo's quality is fantastic and stuff, but come on, man. It's like these are where the souls are, man. This is where the soul of the industry is in these kind of games. Every single time I've had it Oxenfree from you recommendation, I recommend you something else as well. It's always been like on independent like level where we've seen this. So
Yeah.
that's that. So should we move into spoiler cast then?
I think we should. Yeah.
Your final warning. Spoiler cast. Do not complain. If you complain, you're going straight into the abyss. Bang on your head. Gavel. That's what's going to happen. You get thrown into the abyss, Judge Man style. Um,
And you're
what?
gonna have to eat a glizzy.
Yeah. Oh, Jesus Christ. Anyway,
Yes.
spoiler cast. So Adam, should we just I've got quite a few notes as well. Should we just go for like section, like more or less section by
Yeah,
section?
you lead the charge, I'll be here.
So the beginning part really threw me in terms of like it was that episode 5 polarized style nightmare sequence. which I thought was very
I was just thinking
interesting.
that, like, this is definitely Michel's style where it's very retrospective dream scenario. He didn't really do this in Life is Strange 2,
Yeah,
but, you couldn't keep Michel off the leash for too long, you know?
yeah. It's gonna. It's like butterfly doe. Yeah, 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 yeah. It's like yeah, right. We got it. Where's the lighthouse, Michelle? It's like where's the light? I was like expecting a lighthouse here. No
Wasn't
lighthouse.
there a lighthouse somewhere in this game?
I don't think there was. The towers were
We'll
big.
have to replay.
The water
Yeah,
towers were
the
there,
the
but like
the water tower, yeah, and it keeps referencing to the water tower, and where are lighthouses? By the water. Ah, coincidence? I don't
um
think so.
I thought that scene played out well, to be honest, because it's a recap, so it's recapping everything, and I thought it was really stylistically shot well to go through that, and it's again Michelle's style, and I thought it was a good way of doing it. Um, and before the listeners as well, as we keep getting into this, you know that Adam had a bit of an issue before he started this tape because he thought he might have to play the first
Oh,
tape again.
yeah, so when this game dropped, I forgot I was in the middle of a second playthrough, and so, like, when I tried to click play tape 2, it was like, "You gotta play the first tape." I'm like, "Oh, man, I really just wanna play the second tape." Um, so yeah, I did find my old save file and boom, went back into tape 2, but yeah, I was just like, not to say that I didn't want to replay tape 1, but I just needed to know, like, okay, how does it end? So, yeah.
Yeah, it was pretty funny when you well, thankfully, we found your save. I was like, "Oh my god, thank God for that," because otherwise we're gonna be delayed even more doing this. For
Yes.
context as well, we've only played one playthrough. Obviously, don't
Mm,
jump on me if I don't get Cat's social security number as well, like, all the endings. I'm actually wanted to go back and play the endings on my own. I've seen people post some of them as well, so I have seen variations of them and what people have got, so it is what it is, but I will go back and play them, so don't, like, jump on us because we haven't played 15 playthroughs for this fast spoiler cast so you guys can get it and enjoy it.
that was a
Um,
minimum move, so I'm sorry.
yeah, and that as well, yeah. But I thought that was the when the box was there and then move it forward and they start on. I was like, no. And then obviously when you like open it, I was like, oh come on. I was like, that's a bit cheeky. Like I'm not. I
Yeah.
thought we were about to open this box to like get the wheels rolling, but it was interesting though because I think when you unwrap the paper as well, did you look out the window because I saw a cat's shadow?
Oh,
Yeah.
no, I didn't. My hyperfixation is like, "Get the lock open." And I was, like, focused on the lock, like, "What's the puzzle? Where's the puzzle at?" You just, like, you wanna zone out, but, like, I'm a puzzle guy. I'm like, "You let me
Yeah,
solve it."
yeah. The
By the
when the
way,
shadow
my
appears.
one little thing, I was just
Mm.
like, I know this is, like, a narrative thing where you can ask Autumn, "Well, can't we just break the lock?" Right? Do you remember what Autumn's answer was?
Oh, what did she say now? Was it
She goes like, "No, Cat wants us to remember her code. Plus, we might break whatever's inside." I'm like, "What are you talking about? You just get some like, like little clippers. You go pop." I've broken into some fences. I grew up in Philly. I know what bolt cutters. You just get some bolt cutters. Bam. Nothing broken. We just going inside. That's all. We inside
Yeah,
now.
Swan's
Okay?
just gonna go to a car and get the bolt cutters out that she carries in the back of her truck. That she the back of a
Yeah.
car that she's parked.
Yeah.
By the way, can we talk about
Is she
Swan's
not from
parking?
Philly? Every Philadelphian has bolt cutters and a sledgehammer in the back of their trunk. Don't ask us for reasons. It's just in the back of the truck.
It was Michigan this.
Yeah, Michigan people, they're so like, oh, let's go bird watching. Oh, let's go, go Wolverines. That's their team, the Wolverines.
Also,
Go
Swan's
Wolverines.
parking in this game is terrible. Like, Jesus, every time I looked out the window, I was like, "What are you doing, girls? Like, why is it parked like that? What is going on with the cars? Like, why is it like parked
Michigan
correctly?"
drivers, man, they don't know. They don't know anything.
Like,
They're
yeah,
the whole team is the Wolverines. What kind of animal is that?
yeah. I was not having that, but no, it was interesting the setup that they did for that way, where they took the paper off and it kind of reveals things a bit more in details. Like, oh, actually, that's and the mystique was like adding onto it. And obviously, we saw the cat shadows, so the shadows are on purpose. Um,
Yes.
from the documents in the game and stuff, and from what I caught, at least in my first playthrough, it's never really explained. But for me, I feel like it's like flickers doing that happen in terms of like the abyss, just like manifesting moments, like trigger points. So
Yes.
even like Corey shadow and stuff, like do you when they're going through the forest in the first tape, and there's like a Corey
Mm.
shadow that appears and disappears, it feels like it's foreshadowing what's happening, or something's going to happen, or it's related to that. So I feel like maybe that's
Yeah,
the
I even, when I was filming when you're cleaning up the parking lots, right, which took me a little while in the parking lot. I'm like, "I'm trying to clean it. Where am I cleaning it?" And I just like, I'm looking at the cleaning supplies. I'm like, "Wait, let me clean." So I eventually figured out everybody. We got it. Go Wolverines. But, when I was filming the banner, right, like the little
yeah.
alien wavelengths went to the banner, so, that was really interesting, yeah.
Yeah, it was very cool. Like even that cleaning sequence as well at the beginning. Pam was a good character to have exposition with, who sat on the
Yes.
trunk, and I thought that was a very good moment to kind of have a chat with her. And then, did you find her book?
Yeah, I found her book in the dumpster
Yeah,
with my drum machine. What the heck? Book in it. And that's the other thing. We're not gonna tell Pam, like, hey, I found this in the dumpster. I'm just like, hey, here you go. It's like, wow, why is there coffee grinds all over it? Don't worry about it. Just here's your book back. But no, it was in pristine condition. And then did you also notice that the book was on the counter in the future? Like she still had the book in the future.
wasn't it?
So I was like, you got your little dumpster book and you didn't try to replace it. And it's been lasting this long. Michigan trash, am I right?
See, I like those little things that connect the story like that. It's just nice to
Yeah.
have like those like little touches that like add to the value of the game. Um, I thought the conversation was really like quite nice with that. And then in that sequence, obviously, I did say that we'd probably get Dylan exposition in this episode, and we
Mm.
did as well, especially with like being outside the Blue Spruce as well. And did you get an interview with her? Did you do the recording? So you can ask her to
I
do an interview
no.
with you, like
Oh
via the
yes.
camera.
Yes, I did. I did. Yeah.
Yeah,
I
and
forgot.
she,
Yeah.
yeah, and she, yeah, mine was like I think I started putting the ideas of Corey not being a good guy in her head because then
That's
he
what I
turns
did.
up.
Yep. Yep.
Um,
Yeah. So she starts to like question it, but like, she doesn't really, like, get taken back too much, but it's, like, just enough where it's like, "No, no, I'm making the right choice." No,
yeah,
like, she's, like, starting to question it, yeah.
she waved at
Which,
me,
by the way,
And Swan was like
when
this.
sh when she said she's 20, that means she's 50 today. Isn't that weird? It says place in 1995. She would be 50 today. Isn't that weird? Good thing no one creating this game can relate to that. That it was only that way back then, but you're not creeping up to 50. Good thing no one's
I
there.
know.
Woo! Couldn't be us.
Not that they didn't deliver the package either, but we'll come on to that in a moment when we get into it
Yes.
later on. Yeah, I thought it was good interacting with her. See, for my own expectation, I was just a bit disappointed that Corey turned out the way that he did. I thought that was a red herring, and
Yeah.
I thought he was going to be like the Dave Madsen slash Frank Bowers character. But also as well, I can see it from their perspective that this is like a pure blown like 90s style game, and it's like he would technically be the cliche villain kind of thing. So
Mhm.
it feels like they give him no real redeeming qualities. And I think they set that up well enough because I think like one of the things that happens as well is that, do you know how he cares for Cat, for example, in the first tape, even later in the second tape when you go into a Cat's room, it's like you pick up the card from the floor and it's from Corey, but it's like written from it's, but then Cat's like, you got this from a mum because it's got all the Christian verses and stuff on it. It's like, you know, so it makes sense from that. But yeah, I thought it
Yeah.
was good having that. And I think when Dylan came as well, she didn't kiss Corey, so it had that doubt in her mind. And then obviously
Mhm.
Swan was like this when she waved at like um what's it called, at Dylan when she left. But I enjoyed spending more time with Dylan and Corey in their own respect in this game because they really started
Yes.
to kind of come into their own with that. And I think the Blue Spruce was good. Now, one moment I found a bit, I don't know if I was expecting this or not, was when you go back to Fawn's curse. I think mine was Fawn's curse. Yeah, mine was Fawn's curse,
Mhm.
and you end up having Autumn there, and Autumn has the panic attack,
Yes.
which that was not part of the script I was expecting. That was a little bit one of the things that
Yeah.
caught me off guard this game because I was not expecting to set up for that. Um, I completely failed that segment. I'll have you
What?
know. Yeah, she left. Yeah, she
Ah,
left. I was on my own at the
same with
abyss.
yeah, same with me.
Oh, did she fail as well?
Yeah, no, yeah, she left. I tried. I really tried. Um, no, yeah, like that one was a hard sequence. Like that I'm gonna have to replay this game to see it, but I was doing everything I could, but there are some times where I just like I wasn't sure if my inflection. It's kind of like the Mass Effect problem, where you make a dialogue choice, and
Yeah.
then the character gives a different kind of stance to it. Like, whoa, whoa, whoa! I didn't say it like that. In my head, I said it like this. I said it like Paragon, but instead it came out Renegade. Hmm. But there are some sequences where it felt like that, you know. But yeah, no, Autumn left. Autumn straight up left.
I was like, God, because like in the PS blog when they did the day before the game came out, I think it was on the day. It has the image where Autumn and Swan are sat on the edge of the abyss, and I was like,
Mm,
God damn it! I was like, mine went in there. Swan's like freaking out. I was like, oh,
yeah,
fantastic! I was like, oh, it is actually hard to read some of the dialogue options in there. Where I was like picking them, I was like, I thought that was good, and it's like, why are you not calm? Like calm, Autumn. It's like, no, she's not having it. Um,
yeah. That's what
I
I mean, though. It's like it's definitely like RPG. Like this isn't the first time a game has had that where it has dialogue choices, and the consequences of that choice doesn't reflect what happened in your head. It's
yeah.
just frustrating when it happens.
Yeah, I need to go back and play this tape because I had a really bad feeling with Autumn in this tape. Like my
Mm,
relationship with her was really bad in this game, and the way she came across, it was like what was like what is going on here with the character? I felt like it was a little bit off thingy, but maybe that was just my choices that made that. But yeah, in Fallen's Curse when I was there and doing that, I was like, oh okay, like that makes sense. Like that we messed up these options, and then I was like picking. I got some of them right, and then others not. And she like left, and I was like, damn. And I was like, she left. Well, there's some choice
yeah.
and consequence to that. I think that was the part where the game felt a bit slow for me. That was a bit of a
Mm,
slow sequence where it was like that was more of the only pacing problem I had at least with the game, where it's like you went back to Fawn's Curse, record a couple of bits, then you're going into the actual place, and then obviously Autumn turns up, and then the entire like all the things happen with Autumn where she's like, I'm gonna leave Swan and da da da. So that was an interesting experience for me at least. And then Nora was an interesting one because I like when you go outside in the adult timeline because she sat outside having a
mm.
smoke. Um, and did you look at her lighter by any chance?
I did. I did. Firewalk with me. I wasn't sure if I was because in my head I'm like, that's a Deck 9 property, is it not? The
Twin Peaks
Firewalk with me.
reference.
Oh, duh. Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
No, no, you're
I was having
fine. You're not alone.
yeah.
Everyone's
That's what I mean. Like I was just like, I know that's from something else. And thank you for reminding me it was Twin Peaks. Yeah. Um yeah, because I was just like, isn't that referencing no, it's from something else. But yeah, no, I
yeah.
did look at the lighter. Yes. Yeah.
I thought
Did you also look at the cigarette packet?
yeah.
I was like, nowhere in America does it sell by the way, this can cause cancer. It has like the most dingy teeth all over. It's like that's not how marketing works on cigarettes here in America. It's like, boy,
They
hell,
should
do you
have
want teeth like do you want teeth like a Brit?
put what was it, Red Apple? Is it Tarantino's cigarette packet that? One that he puts in all of his films?
Yes, I think is it Red Apple?
I think it's called
Yeah, yeah, I feel like it. Something a reference, but not like your gringy teeth, dude. That was wild, man.
well that's 20 that's the 2000s timeline, isn't it? Because we used to have like branded packages, didn't we? Like when it was like
Mhm.
cigarettes with like color and stuff, and now it's like you have to put the one where it's like all your teeth falling out. It's like you can get cancer if you don't
No,
stop smoking.
what?
Unless we have in the
Do
UK.
you have like teeth that show
Yeah, yeah,
on the
no.
packet?
So usually, like, because
What?
like in itself, here's this history of cigarettes. For example, in the UK, they're not
Ah,
even on the counter behind the on the in the shops. They're behind the counter underneath. And when you pull them
okay.
out, it's like a white packaging, usually with like the name and stuff. On the back has like a big hazard sign with like dingy teeth, and it says cigarettes are bad for you. Been a thing for a while. Maybe it's not in
I
America.
yeah, I haven't smoked in 10 years, so like I don't
Oh,
know.
I miss it.
Yeah. So like yeah, I guess I'm out of the loop, but I've never seen that on an American cigarette packet.
Yeah, yeah, it's a thing. Maybe it's just yeah, it is one of those things. But yeah, this it was a funny funny way to pick up the cigarettes though. But yeah, I generally enjoyed the part where you got to see Nora because I did think she was going to do a runner then, and I think she can
Yeah.
do a runner at some point as well. Amid all that, um, obviously, I think there's a moment in the game where you go to Nora's garage because you're chilling there and having a bit of like a chilled out fest, and then she's brought presents back for Swan and Cat.
Mhm.
Did you open up Cat's present? It's on the counter on the
No.
side.
Did you?
No, I was hoping you'd do it so I
Okay.
didn't feel bad
I
for
thought
it.
you were hesitating. I was like, "No.
No, because that
I'm
would be
not a
like
monster."
Well, that would be peak swan behavior, but I prevented myself not to, like, open it, and I was like, "Maybe I should leave it just for Adam now."
Yeah.
Wish I would've opened it because, like, I think later in the game you do throw off I think there's an option where Nora will throw Cat's present, do you when
Mm,
they're sat on the ledge with, her and Nora, her and Swan,
mm,
so I think, like, that does happen, but I didn't open it, so I'm gonna have to go back and open it now and see what's in there.
yeah,
Yeah, that again, like, the pacing here is, like, steady, so I felt like when we were going through it, because I think I had the PS4, PS5 tracker, which tells you how much percentage you were getting in the game, and you were like I was like, "I'm at about 30%." You were like, "Oh, I've just got to this part with the masks." I'm like like, "You're, like, much further ahead of me," because I was like,
yeah,
"We are miles ahead from that." Um, yeah, I enjoyed that sequence, and I enjoyed the slow pace. Obviously, for me, it's the reminiscing sequence with, Nora, which is a lot of fun, where you go to Cat's Ranch, which I thought was
yes.
hilarious. And I was saying to your podcast as well, it's very much like that sneak. There's a moment where Corey's like, do you when Corey's like walking across the balcony, and you have the bushes behind it, and I was like, I just said to Adam, I was like, it's
Yeah,
like it's solid Swan, like doing a little MGS, like
it's it definitely felt like more MGS sneaking than anything else ever.
see,
It's
do
just
you
like the
when
way she was crouched, it felt
yeah.
MGS. Yeah.
See, do you when you do that stuff as well, like, this is the thing where, like, if they had the budget and stuff, they could easily have included 1 or 2 more of these sequences in other parts of the tape, and it would have been, like, 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 lit for people to enjoy that. I would have
Mm,
thoroughly enjoyed that. So it's like these little things are, like, fantastic to have. But yeah, I enjoyed that sequence though, because I think, like, obviously when Corey comes out, and I think, like, I said to you, I had a bit of a it might have been a bug when I was trying to get Cat. So I was getting her attention in the window, and she brings the signs out. So she's holding the
mm.
signs, but when I was doing it, for some reason, the video, she kept walking away, disappearing, then coming back and holding the same not very funny sign, and I was like, "What's going on
Yeah.
here?"
I didn't get that glitch. I didn't get and just to disclose, like, I didn't have any bugs like that. I just had the weird, like, NPC kind of like cuckoo like doing a little glitch out kinda thing, but nothing that really made me think like, "What the hell's going on?" Uh,
Yeah.
but was that the only one? That was the only one you mentioned to me.
Yeah, it was, like, temporary. I think maybe if I think you had to, like, zoom in on Cat and just keep it there for a while she was doing the
Ah,
things, and she tells you the code and stuff. Then eventually we get into the gate, and then you have the little part of sneaking around where you do a Nora, and then you can decide what to do. I think, like, I'd Cat shout at Corey and tell him to come inside because Dylan has there.
I appreciate it whenever you failed. Like, Nora calls you out and just be like, "Come on, if you're not gonna say this right, like, we're not gonna go through it. That's not how it happened." I was like,
Yeah.
"That's that's a really cool way to, like, fail a sneak sequence." If you just like, "Come on, that's not really how it happened." Um, Not many games touch a unique way to fail a sneak, sequence, and I think that was, like, a good way,
There's
in
one that
my
done it a
opinion.
really bad way, which was from last year.
Ooh, which one?
We talk about it all the time.
Do we? In Double Exposure?
It's when Max rewinds time when Oldman catches her, and it's, like, out of the blue.
Oh,
But it's never
yeah,
explained why she can rewind time. So it's cool as a thing,
yes,
but it makes no sense within the game. So it's like that doesn't make sense.
yeah,
But that's also good as well. Do you know when Nora says, "Oh, come on," like because it also reminds you where you're at in the game, which is again you are
yes,
in the present. So it's like it's commentary about the fact that you get so invested in the past. And it's
yeah,
like, no, no, that's not what happened. It's like, oh, actually, hang on a minute. We are just keep reminiscing on scenes.
yeah.
And I did like that though as well, because I think you can fail at that point, at least in the menu
I
screen. It
failed,
seems
like,
to
3 times, dude. I'm
no,
not
but
good at sneak games. Oh,
flat out
yeah.
fail as well. I think you can flat out. I don't know if there's like a number of things. I think it's in the menu screen where it says like you didn't remember the full way of getting into Cat's
Oh,
house. I'm pretty sure it
hmm,
is in the menu screen as an option. Again, one playthrough before someone jumps on me. But no, it was a fun sequence that, and obviously when you get in with Cat, who has now a nice little haircut, Anna Faris style, I would say, like in the Dictator with the short hair that she has.
oh, I was like, "How what?" No, in a Dictator, yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Oh, she's fantastic, by the way. And she's one of the funniest people on the planet, Anna Faris. Like, not having any slander against that woman.
Yeah,
No, it was very sentimental. I think the sequence with Kat was good there, and it was nice to spend time with her as well. I think it sets up the expectation of what's going to happen, and you know what's going to happen as well in this game. Obviously, Corey goes ultra, douchebag mode at this point as well.
mhm.
I climbed out the window by accident. Did you?
Oh, what? No, I stuck by Cat.
I was going to,
Yeah.
right? I clicked the wrong button by accident. I was like, "Oh, there
Oh,
goes well, there goes Swan," and like, there goes the camera as well. I was like, "Fantastic."
yeah,
So,
yeah.
did he break the camera in front of you then?
He broke the camera right in front of me, yeah.
So I got my camera back.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Was it broken?
No. So basically, later in the game, we'll come on to it as well. When you and Corey's stalking you through the forest, he's recording you with the camera,
Mm,
and
yeah.
he's like, "I've got all the evidence here," and he has the camera of him. But no, it's in the box later in the game when I got out. So I was like,
No, yeah, he has the camera still, like, he breaks it and then he just takes it back, but, like, the whole time you're
um,
filming, the lens is all cracked up, so it kinda has, like, a little mirror effect, yeah.
right. No,
So,
mine was like perfectly like intact when I
yeah.
got it because he keeps it. He holds on to it. Like Dylan
By the
interferes with
way
him.
by the way, and this is, like, going off of, like, movie magic, right?
Yes.
Okay, Michelle, Luke, Philip, Marin, I love you all. There's no way on God's green earth that that camcorder's battery would work right out of the box. Like, oh wow, this camcorder that hasn't been charged since the 90s just like gets kicked out like without a charge. No, no, I've filmed before. I've used those cameras. Like, dude, you can't last it almost 30 years in a box and just be like, oh, full battery too. No, no, doesn't happen. Doesn't happen, dude.
You wouldn't be saying the same if it was a Nokia 3210 in there. You'd be like, "This is fully charged." It's like you probably hit someone with it as
Yeah.
well. Like,
No, the Nokia, that's a different story. Like that can carry a battery through a military zone, dude. But no, the camcorder's battery, there's no way. That would just be like,
can I
wow,
can I
full
remind
battery.
you that this has like a lock on it that's powered by the abyss with a cat on it? Like, there's energy flowing in the box.
Yeah, not just like a lock, but like yes, the ethereal energy keeping the lock intact that magically came back into order. But what pisses me off is like, there's no way the battery would work. There's no way. So that's my rant.
I pray one day Michelle comes on this podcast with Luke and we can ask him that question. And he's going to be sitting here like,
Yeah.
what? He'll be like,
It'd be like French batteries work. I don't know about your American batteries, but
there you go.
the French batteries work. My wire apparently doesn't wanna work. There we go. We're
There we
good,
go.
everybody.
There we go.
The magic of XLR, baby.
How did you feel about just to kind of take a bit of a tangent, how did you feel about the Corey Dylan situation and the story and the way it folds and with Corey as well? Because I'm
Um,
just
I felt like it wasn't dramatized. Like,
right.
if I can explain on that. I feel like I feel like it felt realistic. I know there's a lot of people that had that kind of same situation, the same kind of relationship where, like, oh, well, no, like he's still a good guy. It's just, oh, he works for my dad. Like, oh, my family loves him very much. Like, I don't know what I should do. It wasn't really dramatized, which is why I don't think it was very memorable,
Yeah.
right? And I don't think that's Michelle's style is to dramatize things. It's just kind of like it sees it for what it is. Um, and that's what made Life is Strange 2 so powerful, is just because, like, aside from the, superpowers, Life is Strange 2 was very grounded on, like,
Yeah.
"Hey, this is the way it is." For somebody who was living in France at the time, like, to understand what was happening in America, it felt very grounded. Same goes for this. Those kind of relationships, they happen, and I just feel like I'm okay with the way it was written, it just wasn't memorable in the way of a TV show, you know?
No, it wasn't. I felt Corey was when we said he's like three dimensional. I thought was it four dimensional? Three dimensional? He said.
Yeah, I thought it was gonna be much more, four-dimensional than he was, but then he turned out to be like the '90s douchebag, which I can also appreciate that he was
Yeah.
like the cliche '90s on a dirt bike and like the tribal tattoos on his arm. I was like, I can also appreciate that. That's like, hey man, this is the '90s. We're just gonna be a long-haired douchebag that works on a deer farm in Michigan.
He went peak douchebag when he put the mask on and he's on the dirt bike, and then when the deer like plows into it, I was like, yes. I was like, I've never been more happy. I
Yes.
was like, you deserve that. I was like, no
That
one
was
has
such a
deserved.
'90s movie, like,
Yeah,
move right there.
like you
Like, that
absolutely deserve that.
yeah. Movies aren't made like that anymore, where
No,
it's
they're
just
not.
like the douchebag gets gored by deers, you know?
Yeah, it was interesting to see the dynamic forward. I think we'll keep going on to it because like it'll come back. But I think Dylan
Mhm.
was we might have misread wrong because obviously she sends the box and we'll come on to that in a bit. But I think obviously that was the kind of position that they're doing. That Corey is just basically a douchebag and will forever be a douchebag, and
Yeah.
Dylan is good, and that refines the relationship with Kat because obviously Kat has her feelings about Corey, and then obviously Dylan feels like, you know, I think there's like little things that are like laced in the game. I think like when you're in Kat's room, you can look at the bone marrow stuff about Kat, and
Mm.
Dylan has
Yes.
donated bone marrow to Kat, and it's quite a nice touch that. Um, so yeah, when you go further on to that, obviously we get to the point where it's the ledge sequence with Nora, which obviously I think Nora didn't throw Kat's present; she kept it from me. Do you? Did she throw it?
No. No, I don't think she did.
No,
No.
you're no, I don't. No, yeah, so she didn't throw it in there, and I think like that's a nice sequence. I think Kat and Nora.
No.
I think Nora and Swan can kiss there again. First playthrough. I'm just trying to remember some of the sequences I've seen, but you're on
Mhm.
the ledge, which is quite nice as well. And then later, obviously, you return to the abyss, and that's where Kat has like her new look as well, the punk look with I think she had lipstick for me and like short hair, and
Yes. Yeah.
the characters come back together, and it feels like that was thing that was handled really well in this game with the abyss, and they don't explain it more than what it actually is. It's again, I think theories are theories, and we did a lot of theories that are wrong because that's what they are. Ultimately, they're going to be proven wrong. The one thing that aged well for me was when I said in the last episode, this story could go anywhere. And it
Mm.
almost did do that as well. Where it's like it can go anywhere. It has certain parameters, i.e., Swan's the main focal point. It has to return to Swan, the
Yeah.
box, and even Cat and the Abyss. Like they're the main parameters that it focuses on. And the game could have gone anywhere. So thankfully, like it reeled things in. Some things we were obviously clearly wrong about. We were wrong on a lot of things, but that's just natural with this feeling. But with the Abyss, I'm happy that he did the Stephen King esque thing that's I expected from Michelle, where it's just it exists and there's cryptic
Yes.
hints about it. Like there is people have become aware of the Abyss, and it's like, but it's like a box. And I think even for the future of the franchise as well, and I think we'll come on to it later as well, like near the end. Um, the Abyss reminds me a little bit of like Jumanji. So it's like you can make
Mm.
any film, but Jumanji's the concept. It can be any characters. So it's like that concept, core concept is the
Yes.
box, or it's like a game as they did in the remakes and stuff. There's that premise is already set up. So it's like the Abyss could probably emerge anywhere and tell a story.
Mm.
So it's kind of a good like foundation point to set up future games and whatnot. So I was happy with the way that they did it. And obviously, I think it starts to connect dots with Kat and the power that she's drawing from it and the influence. It's still not explained completely what it's doing. I still think it's a trade-off the way it's doing things and the way it's telling its story. But
Mm.
that was quite interesting. The part where the game took a
Yeah.
really interesting turn. It leads up to the cabin, but before the cabin, because we have a lot to say on that, it's the arson part. I was not expecting this to unfold in the game the way that it did. So I was like, this has
Yeah.
gone. This is where I started having a little bit of a concern because, like, Michel Co, Jean Luc, you've always delivered for me. Let me preface that, and I believe you fully delivered me. This is where I was like, oh no. I was like, could this like,
Mhm.
is this the anomaly now where it like starts to like eventually get there? But I still think it was an interesting sequence.
Are you talking
Um,
about in the cabin?
Before the cabin, so we're at the arson of Cat's Ranch. So we're vandalizing things,
Oh, gotcha, gotcha, gotcha.
releasing the deers.
Yes.
Yeah. So we're going to that point where we're releasing the deers and um we're just causing arson on the ranch and this is where Corey goes a bit like ape about things. That was a little bit out of it was an interesting move at that point. I think obviously it kind of feeds into Kat's ulterior motive and the way she feels about
Yes.
things. Um, did you pet Gerda? Is it not? Is it Goethe? I think it's called Gertie. Sorry, Gertie. Did you pet Gertie, the
Did you
deer?
not?
Yeah, of course I did. I want my trophy. I want pet.
I was about to
I
say, I was like, "What monster? I don't even need it for a trophy. I'm getting Gertie. I'm
I
petting Gertie."
I petted
Yeah,
Gertie twice. I was like,
yeah,
pet, 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 and I was like, pet, pet, pet. I was like, there you go. I
yeah.
was like, that's what you get.
You're a monster if you haven't. You're the same kind of monster if you threw the bone into the street in Life is Strange.
Also, I was going to tweet it. No, no, that was deserved. Um, I was gonna say like when you were talking about like the references and the similarities. It's like even I
Yes.
tweeted earlier, like from the game, do when there's two new characters that appear in the blue spruce, and one of them's wearing red flannel. I was like, "There's Rachel Amber, she's
Rachel
back."
Amber. Yeah, I saw that.
And then even the days as well. So I was going to tweet and be like, "Here's Max Caulfield in the game." As well. I was like, of course, Max Caulfield's here.
Oh, yeah.
Gertie.
I didn't even think about that. Yeah.
There's
Gertie, but
tons of things. Do you when you unwrap the abyss, not the abyss, the box's newspaper, or one of the clippings as well? It has Chloe's hair. There's like a thing at the bottom, so it's like a title on there.
oh,
It's like
yeah.
right at the
I
bottom of
didn't see
one of the
that.
pieces, and it's like, yeah, there's tons of references everywhere. Like it is
Yeah.
amazing. I imagine there's probably even more that we missed as well. Um, but no, the ranch sequence was interesting, and I feel like obviously it's progressing you forward. We get to the forest, the
Yeah.
deer. Are they does or deers? Deers, isn't it?
Deers and is a
And a doe?
female just a doe? Yeah. Gertie's a doe? Deer female. Uh, it's a doe. Yeah, so
Okay,
Gertie's a doe.
I
Huh?
think Gertie's a doe. I think there's like, yeah, but when they did that sequence and their eyes light up, I was like, oh no. I was like, where? Because this is where I think the film with Nev Campbell, The Witches, the one that you've watched, the one that Michelle says is an influence, the four girls,
Shoot.
the Coven,
Oh, it's the, what's that?
the Coven,
No, no, it's called the,
right? Something with
ah,
C, isn't it? I can't remember. What Croft,
The Craft. The
Craft.
Craft?
We almost got
The
there. I'm gonna watch that now as well
Yeah,
because I need
oh,
to
I'm
watch that.
so dumb, dude. Yeah, it's The Craft. I was having a complete mind. No, I definitely saw The Craft in the cabin. Like, that was
Yeah,
definitely, like, The Craft kind of, like, sequence, but, um,
the one,
yes.
the one that did it for me was with the tape one as well. When they're sitting there and they do the blood oath as well with Kat when she's like, when they're in the circle, and they do that in the
Mm,
first tape, and then obviously this tape when those
yeah.
Dare's eyes lit up, and then obviously the actual cavern sequence. I was like, yeah, I was like, this is where I think Life is Strange fans might feel a bit differently about this game because the expectation isn't Life is Strange at this point. It is
So,
now,
I'm about to go 3 for 3 on, like, dumb questions. Like, I don't know why people watch this podcast with, like, a dummy like me. So I forgot what a female deer looks like. I forgot the movie The Craft, so I don't know why you're here. Um, 3 for 3 dumb questions. Do you have deer in England?
yeah,
Well, I don't know.
but they're not
Do you have deer?
prolific. I don't walk down the street and see a deer.
Like, where are they? It's like, are they in like, do you not see them often?
Countryside, usually.
Okay. Yeah, because like, they're not all over America, but, like, when you're driving in America, we actually have signs for deer because deer just, like, come right out into the road, and
Yeah,
here's the thing about bucks, like, with buck deers, you can total your car, like, the deer will be fine, but then it's just so much muscle that,
yeah.
like, you can hit the side of it and your whole car is totaled.
My history
Like,
teacher
it's
had that
insane.
once happen to her. So she lived in
Yeah.
York. I was in sixth form, like secondary after secondary
York,
school.
Pennsylvania? That's crazy.
Well, you guys just stole all our names. Like that's what happened. You broke away from us, and you stole all the names. It's like fantastic. You'd given them back.
Did I tell you, like, in, I wanna say it was Kentucky or Tennessee. No, I was in Tennessee, one of the states. But there was a London, there was a Manchester, there
Yeah,
was a Somerset. Like, there was, like, all the British names, like, "What the heck?" I think I was in Tennessee. Yeah.
yeah. Because you guys broke away. You kept the names, then broke away. It's like fantastic. Actually, it's probably better in,
Yeah.
in the current climate of things. So you know, keep yourself as you are. Um, but yeah, yeah, there are deers here. Like there are here, but they are very much like in the countryside. They'll be in like different areas. I think, like, for example, when you said the sign here, when I lived in York for a couple of years when I was doing my uni
Yeah.
course, they had duck signs because that's how many ducks there are in York. Honestly, there's
Yeah.
like it's like I think there's more ducks at one point on the university campus than actual people, and you had like duck signs for like on the roads because
Yeah.
of that's how many I have. So,
There's a
yeah,
town in Minnesota that has more turkeys than people.
it's so funny. What's wrong?
Yeah.
Oh,
Like, in when I lived in North Dakota, like, they would come over to North Dakota from Minnesota, and you would just see turkeys hanging up in trees. Like, they would just, like, go up in trees and just hang out up there.
sounds like something like Michelle wrote, right?
Yeah,
It's
no,
like,
straight up, there was just, like, turkeys just walking around.
oh
So,
god.
time for dinner, I guess.
Yeah, truly.
Yeah.
Right, let's get back on this as
Anyways,
well.
yeah,
So,
deer's lighting up.
yeah, all the days, the chase sequence is interesting. Obviously, Corey. Do you know what as well? I hope we get to interview Jordan as well, who played Corey as well, because like he must be having the time of his life doing those audio clips.
Yes.
He's like, he's like proper like,
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I forgot. He's like, "I'm gonna get you." Like, I wanna know if, like, he had a lot of influence to, like, 90s movies. Like,
oh yeah,
yeah, it has to be, man. But, like, you can tell, like, Philip, like, definitely directed it to be more like a 90s, like, "Get over here, punk," or something like that. Like, very corny, but also intimidating at the same time.
yeah.
So, no, it was really well played out.
I try not. Do you know what as well? I'll give them this defense as well for them to make
Yes.
Corey the way that they did because I think like my expectation, I want him to be more like multifaceted. But if he is going to be the douchebag villain of the '90s, it would set in with other films of that era and even Stephen King books and those kind of influences. And I don't really swear as much, but to sum up Corey for peak dickheadery culture and the way that he acts is the fact that he picks up Autumn's mask, put it on, got on the dirt bike, and
Yes.
that is like peak Corey
Yes.
behavior. And I was like, fair enough. I was like, because you've done that, I respect the fact that you went that approach. Um, and yeah, I'm happy with that. But obviously, that sequence all plays out. It's all quite interesting the way that it's shot, and I think it's again, this is where the pace starts picking up and the adrenaline. Then we get to the cabin sequence, which this is where the one moment. So let me preface this. I really enjoyed
Mm,
the sequence, but this is where I was like, "Oh no." I was like, "Oh no." I was like, "Is Michelle like, is Michelle about to say this in a is he not going to land this game?" I was like, "Where is it going here?" It was
yes.
like
Yeah.
it was like the most, it was like if Eric Cartman was transported into Velvet Cozy, he'd be like, "All these hippies are here." And he's like, when you get all the glowing lights and stuff. I was like, "Oh my god."
Yeah.
Um, it was something.
It was, um, it was definitely Michelle's style.
It
It
was.
was definitely Michelle's style. I thought the dance hippie sequence went on a little too long, but, that's just my preference. This is Michelle just saying like, "No, I'm creative director. This is what's happening. Dance ethereal section now." Um, that's the one part where I was just like, that's why I knocked it down 4.5 because, like, the pacing on the cabin scene, I was like, "This can be a it can be a bit much for some people." Some people who are out of Philadelphia and just like dumb puzzle games, but, I respect it, man. Like, he stuck to it. He's like, "No, I'm doing it like this." So, respect.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I think obviously, I think at that point they're also showing off the music. 'Cause obviously, the soundtrack's
Yeah.
phenomenal in this game. And I also imagine that this is where Abby goes into like peak lesbian heaven mode as well, because when she's in this mode, she'd probably like honestly, you don't even hear the messages I get from her, like from the listeners.
Yes.
Like I've never seen someone more excited
Yeah,
about
this
a
is the
game.
scene where, Nora and Kat kissed in my playthrough.
Oh, so they kissed on yours.
They kissed in mine,
Oh,
yeah,
nice.
and it was in this scene. I was like, "Oh,
S-
here we go."
So
Yeah.
mine was Swan and Cat at this point.
Ah,
And also as well, I
yes.
think this is where it hits hard because later in the game when you get the box as well, Swan is really sentimental because she's like, "Is my soul? I thought it was my soulmate," and it's like really quite touching. That entire box sequence, if you have Cat as the option for me, that's when it
Mhm,
really hits hard. I think if you go, the game is really so. This is one thing with the romance options, right? And I think don't not do it well as well in compared to at least with. And just use it as a comparison stick because it's the best one we have, like i.e. Deck 9, for example, right?
mhm,
In the comparison of Life is Strange and Don't Nod games, Don't Nod do it better because like this one is, I think Life is 2D point me out. This is the only one where it's just female love options, right? So you can have just
mhm,
female love options, or Swan can just be on her own. So you don't have to romanticize one. But with this, the one thing that happens with the story, which I'm a little bit confused with at times as well, it felt like when we watched the first trailer, it felt like Autumn and Swan were going to be the ship. So it felt like that was
mm,
going to be the natural ship. Then when you play the game, it feels like the game is pushing you towards Cat, for me at least. Because it feels like Swan and Cat are going to be the main item at that point in the romantic route.
mm.
I never really found it with Nora because I think Nora's a really strange character to have a vibe with, like in terms of at least Swan with Nora. It can happen, obviously.
See,
You can make it.
I always saw Nora and Kat, like, with each other in my
Yeah,
playthroughs, yeah. Swan, I think, not necessarily, not necessarily. I think she was just trying to find her way in my
yeah.
playthrough, like, more than anything. She wasn't, like, trying to look for a love interest, but just more of, like, trying to find her way, and she's so focused on the move, you know? But Kat and Nora, I was like, I thought that was natural.
Do when you bring that up as well, this is the one thing for me at least, and I'm gonna be really
Mm,
pretentious and douchey with this. This is for me where
okay.
I feel like I appreciate Michel's stories a lot, and in terms of the fact that what he's telling, this is a coming of age story. The
Yeah.
game is about Swan Holloway. It's not about
Yes.
anyone else. People put too much stock value in Cat. Love Cat. It's fantastic. Not even doubting that.
Yes.
She's an extension to Swan's story. It's no different from the first Life is Strange. Chloe is an extension to Max's story. Chloe's a big part of Max's story as well. Not downplaying it. She's second in
Mm,
command. She's there. But essentially, the game is Max's story. And I was going to bring this point up later because, for example, Max, I remember doing the interview with Hannah for episode 5, Polarized, and she was saying, like, this is the episode where Max comes into her own and she goes from strength to strength. It's almost like a chrysalis to a butterfly. For example,
mm,
what's Swan's spirit animal in this game? A moth. And it's very
yes.
Silence of the Lambs esque. And even, Max wears a moth t shirt in Life is Strange 1, if you remember as well. But even Silence of the Lambs style Buffalo Bill, where it's like, we have the death's head moth, and it can
Mm,
still be a cocoon. It can be a chrysalis. It can be a beautiful creature. And it might not look beautiful like a butterfly, but it does evolve in something. That's the same again, where I feel like there's a metaphor there being connected, where it's Swan's coming of age. She becomes who she is, wherever she does in the end of the game. And we'll come on to that later because I know some people felt differently about the Abyss part with her and stuff. But that's why I think for me, I'm happy with where you said, for example, Swan's just finding her way because she can be on
yeah.
her own. She can have a love interest. I think it probably is Nora and Kat, that dynamic, because it feels like
Mm,
that is the one where it's kind of pivoting towards. It can also be you and Kat. And I think, again, Michel has created another character, which is, again, representative of who he is, but also lets you project yourself onto him because Jean Luc and Michel have both done interviews with this at IGN France and they said, who's your favorite character out of the ones you make in the
mm.
game? Like, who's your favorite character in this game? And who did Jean Luc and Michel both say?
Swan.
Yeah. And even
Yeah.
Jean-Luc in his interview says, "I like Chloe, Max, Sean, Dan, any of the main characters." So again, they are writing from the point where they project you as you are because they give Swan a personality. She's her own person, but then you project the rest of you. And it's no
Mm.
different from Max. And I think
Well,
that's what
again,
makes it.
this is what makes a master of like storytelling where you can
Yeah.
have like different options. Like we're talking about True Colors, where it forced you to have a love interest. Like
Yeah.
Alex couldn't just be her own person,
Yeah.
you know? This one just feels natural, like where some people might say, like, no, Swan is shipping for this one person. In my playthrough, like I just think that she's just trying to find her way.
Yeah.
Both are valid. Both are
Yeah.
completely valid answers. Even double exposure we can talk about. It's like double exposures talk about like smash or pass. What about this guy? How about this guy?
Yeah.
Well, it's just like
I
no, it's like this one, it's natural. Like there's nothing
yeah.
really overt about it, and that's what Michelle is good at.
Yeah, and it's ironic as well because the smash and pass thing, as you said, would be the kind of thing if Deck Nine wrote Nora, for example, that old Deck Nine creative team, they would have added that to her. But instead, Nora is just her own personality, and she's like, I was just all hormoned up, and it's like, I'm saying to Kat, like, take it off, take it off. It's natural because she's acting like a
Yes.
teenage girl,
Yeah.
re-emphasized again by the fact that Jean Luc and Michel had a big creative input, but then Desiree and Nina Freeman came in as American writers and refine the girls, and it shows in the story. I'm not a female girl, like, I'm not a woman, a young girl, but you can relate to it, and men are playing this game and enjoying it because they are telling a story where the girls are grounded in that world. So
Mhm.
generally speaking, I think that in the cabinet could go any way, whichever option you wanted. I think for me, the way that the game went, I think the more I progressed into it, I just kept gravitating towards Cat. I do like the fact that Nora and Kat did it for you because obviously you have the first tape and they have that recording sequence where they're reenacting Dylan and Corey. So I think like it does feel like it's doing
Yeah.
that. This is the moment in the game where I felt really nervous, where I was like, "Oh, actually, is it going to land?" I was like, "Is it going to land?" And then, like, I think it starts picking itself back up because obviously Corey barges in with Dylan as he does for me. Um,
Mhm.
no, Autumn's betrayal was interesting there for me, where she betrayed the girls in my playthrough, and I apologize to
See,
that user to
some
user.
yeah, I was about to say somebody called it out, not the right character. Did they say Autumn or did they say
No, they said
Nora?
Nora. It was Nora, so they're very close, but they said it was Nora
They
they
were
thought it was.
close. But we doubted them, like, "No, none of these girls are gonna really, like, betray anybody." Like, we called them out, but,
Yeah,
um, if you know if you're the users comments, dang, spot on. We
so
doubted you.
close. You
Yeah.
literally just got
Dang.
one wrong go, but you've almost hit that. There's actually a comment on the channel, actually, I think from DJ Howard, who's nailed the box that was in the box and all the
Yes.
contents of it. Not who sent it, I think they sent Pam sent it, but they got a lot of the other details, and it's like, that's amazing that you actually, like, got that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Theories are theories. Like, our theories, like, went badly. They age like milk nonstop. But I don't discredit anyone's theory because even the fifth member theory was interesting theory. For me, that's just not a Michelle Co idea, but it's good to conceptualize something like that because it could work within this kind of game. Um, but in terms of like, yeah, the Autumn betrayal was really caught me because I was like, oh wow, I was like, I didn't expect that. I think Autumn's a weird.
Autumn is but that's the thing, it kind of aligns with her character,
Yeah.
like, she is definitely, like because I believe she is a military brat as well, so, that did she mention that she's a military brat? I'm pretty sure. Like, her parents are in the
Oh,
military, or her dad is in the military.
I think her dad's in the
Uh,
military. I think it was yeah, his
yeah,
dad. I
her
think it was
her dad's
military.
yeah, her dad's army, so she always, like, looking out for justice, looking out for what is right.
Yeah,
And it goes into, like, what she does in real life, and in the future. Like, she is definitely just not somebody who gets anxious, but somebody who knows right from wrong and just says, like, "Listen, this isn't necessarily right." So she had to tell,
yeah,
a grown person about it. So it aligns with who she is as a character, which is, again, when she betrayed it, it's kind of like, "Dang, how could you?" But in my head, I'm like, Michelle set that up. Michelle set it
yeah,
up not in a way of, like, villainizing, but set it up in, like, kind of, making her personality canon. Like, that
yeah,
is who Autumn is. Because like, that's the other thing. Whenever you watch a really bad TV show and a character does something, immediately in your head, like, that person wouldn't do that.
yeah.
Because you know that person, that people have a personality, it would be like me, it's like, "Oh, Adam would never make it to Yale. That's not his personality. He's too stupid. He doesn't know what a dough is. That's not his personality. He would never make it." Um,
You be coming on your dirt bike, Corey style with your mask on. Let me in.
with a Harvard hat into Yale, like, "Get ready to learn, suckers."
Uh,
But, yeah, no, like, it really aligns with Autumn's character, so I appreciated that. Yeah.
yeah, it was an interesting. That was a moment I was like, and then obviously the stuff that's happened in the cabin. I kind of stabbed Corey. I don't know if you did or not.
Oh, I did it kind of. I stabbed him. They're like, "Help him." I was like, "Knife." Now, is that the Philly in me coming out? It's like, I know where the knife is. I'm gonna stab you, whether you're in my house or not. I don't know. That's up for the police to decide. I knew where the knife was. Pop, popped him. So you kind of, your boy
It was the Philly
stabbed
that
him.
was coming out of me. I was like, that's what Adam would do. So I like grabbed the knife and then stabbed him. I was like, that was it. 'Cause
WWAD. What would Adam do?
I think one of the
To
choices.
get
I think depending on how that plays out, I think Autumn can get burnt in that. So obviously the cabin is on
mm,
fire. And I
yes.
think we had a lot of theories where Swan's face might be different because of like, different people have that because of the fire. But again, wrong character that got burnt there.
Mm,
But yeah, that was interesting. Obviously, the abyss seems to take control of Corey in like that full kind of like, he's like, "Arr," and he's like, like angry and
yes.
stuff. And then we go to the
Yeah.
abyss, which is I think where it sets up for that big sequence where there's like 1,500 choices where we like looking at it. There's like,
Yeah, when I was texting you, like, oh my god, there's more choice than I thought there was. Just like a combination of both relationship and what can happen at the abyss. I'm like,
yeah.
oh my god, dude. Um, we'll go over choices in a little bit, but yeah,
But
no.
even the first tape as well, for example, you can do something more as an option with that look, like with the girls, with all three of them. And even Michelle said that Nina wrote it in the way where it's like they all you can do it. It's difficult, obviously, because I found Autumn very difficult to connect with this point because I, and I think we'll come on to the package when they leave. We'll talk about when they left the characters, like the other two adults.
Mhm.
The abyss sequence was really interesting and people don't know as well. There's a
Yeah.
DM from me to Adam where it's like, I'm like, why is Michelle throwing these two characters into the abyss? It's my job to do that. It is Judge Riaz's job to do that. You do not throw people into the abyss. Michelle, I do that. I choose it.
Yeah.
But there's tons of them. I think that the lowest percentage was like the girls send Corey into the abyss in harmony. I was like, what?
No,
I was like,
the abyss sucks Corey in harmony with the girls. I'm
it's
like,
crazy.
what the hell? That's like council level of just like, what is going on here?
It really, it really that would be straight taken out of that game. I
Yeah.
think that setup was great, that sequence. Um, and then all the different because obviously the setup now is for me to go and watch the different options and how they play out. Because there's like all kinds of variations of who pushes who into the abyss, or I think there's an option where cat goes into the abyss either way because she can choose to sacrifice herself. In my playthrough,
Yeah.
she is yanked in with Corey. Which was what was your option?
Mine was so Corey. So I'm trying to figure out how to word it. Corey, like so Swan tried to get her away from Corey,
Oh, so you did
but
the pull
none of the other
option.
girls. Yeah, but then Corey pulls in Cat with him.
Oh, so yeah, because like the options I had were I think that's the same as mine then, because it's like you have the option to either start beating Corey up on the floor or pull
Yes,
Cat. And I think I went to pull her, and then the no, so it's the abyss that
that's what
yanks in.
happened. Yes. So she's beating her up or beating Corey up.
Yeah,
And then you're pulling off, and then they start doing the little fight, and then
yeah,
Corey, yeah, pulls them both in.
yeah. That was pretty. Right, we're going to delete the lost records journal episode that why Cat will live. What a terrible take
Yes.
that was. Everyone was like, it's on the newspaper. I was
Yes.
like, we'll be the hipsters, and it'll be like, prove me right, and then I could be like, I told you so. It did not turn up. I told you so. Um,
No.
she goes into the abyss. That was quite like a dramatic thing. Obviously, we get the revelation why the girls stop seeing each other. They make the pact that they won't see each other. I think someone theorized that as well recently, which makes natural sense for them to do that. Um,
Yeah.
and I think that was good. I think it was a very poignant scene. Obviously, I think maybe we could have seen something more from Dylan there because she just sat on the floor. But as you well know, she just lost her boyfriend, and
I
the
was about to
sisters.
say she's going through something right now. It's like, "Hey, Dylan, come here. Like we're doing something." Okay. I won't see you ever again. Can I go now?
Yeah,
Like straight up like Dylan is having a rough night, bro.
she is
Rough night.
really
Yeah.
rough time. Yeah, I thought that was interesting the entire layout, and obviously it makes sense for them not speaking. So we get obviously it's a big reveal, which is the package.
Mm,
Dylan sent it, which I thought was a good touch as well because I feel like that was something we all overlooked. I think at least for me, where it's like we really
mm.
overlooked the relationship between the sisters. So Dylan has sent you the package. It's not Pam, um, and in itself as well, Gus and Pam got in mind. I ship them. What's that? What's that ship? Gam. Well, it's Gam or
Better than
Puss.
better than puss. Yeah.
Yeah,
I
Puss.
I I wanna do puss relationship.
Yeah,
Hashtag bring puss together.
yeah. Bring hashtag Puss. We'll retweet it after play one of this world of fan art. Like we'll do that
Yeah.
for you. Um, so the box gets opened at this point. So in the box, when the box is getting opened, Autumn is gone for me. So she gets up off
Mm,
the table and she leaves and she's done because I couldn't get her to stay.
yeah,
I was like, well,
same. I
screw you,
tried.
Autumn.
Yeah.
So
Autumn and Nora, it just bounced.
did Nora leave at the same time then?
Not at the same time. Nora left, like, after we reminisced. Like, she's like, "I'm done, bye."
Oh,
And
okay.
then I
So
went back inside with Autumn, and then Autumn left me. I was like, "Well, dang. What the
that
heck?"
see that option will come into the ending in a moment. That is such a wild option. That's like 43% on the PlayStation leaderboard when I was checking that. That's the most popular decision where it's Swan on her own. I was like, what? But
Yeah.
clearly, it's clearly. I think it's probably making us question how many choices and decisions we made. But at that point, when the box is opened, it is just me and Nora. It has all the different little contents in. I think it's all dependent on what you collect in the game, etc. It's filled to the
Mm,
brim with it. Kat's voiceover is fantastic during that entire portion as well.
yes.
I think
Very 90s movie reminiscing.
it
Kinda
really
reminds
is.
me of, have you ever watched, oh, shoot, Tom Cruise's first movie? Say Golden Pony Boy.
Oh yes, yes, yes. Yeah.
Oh,
Oh yeah.
shoot. I'm losing it tonight, dude.
You've lost it
Um,
completely.
The Strangers?
The
The
first
Outsiders,
film.
The Outsiders. Yeah, that was Tom Cruise's first film. Um, funny enough funny enough, he almost didn't get a role for Risky Business because of that movie.
Endless Endless Love's his first film. The Outsiders is 1983. It's his fourth film.
Mm,
It's
okay.
coming of age drama.
Um, yeah. So,
Yeah.
like, not his first film, but, like, it was, like,
Early.
like, come up to the Risky Business. He almost didn't get Risky Business because when they were casting him, they saw him in Outsiders, like, he's supposed to be a preppy boy, and, like, he's not preppy in The Outsiders. So, history wrote itself, and boom, Tom Cruise, Risky Business. Now we got him sliding around in underwear. Um, but yeah, no, so like it kind of reminded me of like the ending of Outsiders too. So of the way she was like reading through it. So like very like 90s esque, like reading off a letter like
Ah,
afterwards. So yeah.
yeah, it's nice when she's like, "I've watched your tape," and she's like,
Hmm.
"I'm looking forward to you watching it." And yeah, I think for me, I think that scene really hits hard for me if
Mm.
Kat is your love interest, and you see it with Swan as well, the way she feels about it. Obviously, a lot of the contents of the items are in there that you play through. Swan's camcorders in there, which is quite nice.
Yes.
One thing I felt which is quite nice is when Swan is, and this is what I felt as well. I don't know if anyone else picked up on it. When Swan is reunited with her camera, it goes back to third person instead of being first person.
Yes.
And I
Yes.
thought that was very Michelle Coe style kind of
Mhm.
like approach. I don't know if anyone else has seen that, and I'm not saying it's like some original like insight that I've seen, but it's just one thing I noticed that it was like with the way that the camera twists, it feels like you've been reunited with the one object. Because even when you lose the
Mm.
camera as well, you can press the R1 button, and Swan's like, "I wish I had my camera right now," back in the other timeline.
Yes. Mm.
And it's like when she gets reunited with it, obviously the camera flips, it shows Swan, and Swan is just still Swan. Obviously she has her tattoo, which they reveal in the game,
Yes.
and it's like showing the story events and stuff, which is quite cool. Um,
Mm.
yeah, that was a very sentimental moment. I think the payoff was very good for that, and it reminded me of in Oxenfree when you get the box in Oxenfree 2.
Two. Oxenfree
Yes,
two. Yeah.
I'm sorry if you've
Yes, in Oxenfree two.
yes,
Yes.
well, you're in a spoilercast section, and Oxenfree 2's been out for a while anyway. But yeah, when you get the box as well, it gave me big vibes of that, and I think they handled it very well. And it was very
Hmm.
fitting when you leave the diner as well. So it's like when I was leaving diner, when I was leaving the Blue Spruce with Pam and Gus, you can go and say like bye to them and have a quick chat with them. And then obviously we head towards the finish line, which is the end of the game. I think like seeing adult Swan, she's glowing in a way that I think I wish Max Caulfield was at this point. Just to see them.
Sometimes we wish we all glowed like that.
Yes, at 40 something odd, 42 years old, whatever she is, Swan, like, like Jesus
Yeah.
Christ, like I wish I was glowing that much. Um,
And then she sees, like, her younger self, and it's, like, that little, like, juxtaposition. So,
yeah.
if I had that same juxtaposition, I would go to my younger self and say, like, "Hey, man, lay off the Krispy Kreme. Why don't you? How
um,
about a little bit of a truffle shuffle there, little guy?"
oh god. Yeah.
I was a fat kid, I can say that.
My I've seen the autumn ending where autumn's there with you. Um, I got the one with just Nora. I thought that was
Mm.
really so obviously you and Nora you're about to go separate ways, then Nora like grabs you and you go for a walk down the road, then you end up at Nora's garage. Um,
Oh, what?
yeah, so you go to Nora's garage and Nora sits on the sofa with you. Nora starts playing See You in Hell, and Swan sat next to you, and then you have young versions of Cat and Autumn on the floor listening to you play
What?
in like shadow hologram things.
What?
Yeah, you missed
Wait.
out. Your ending was
No, mine was so cool, dude. Because like, I also had See You in Hell, but because Swan is by herself, she goes on a little hike through the forest
with a camera.
with her camera. She goes to the forest, and then they're performing See You in Hell in the
Oh, actually,
forest where they
yeah,
filmed.
that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Actually, yeah, that's pretty
Oh,
cool.
that's cool that it's just like it's different sequences of like how you get See You in Hell.
It's truly Life is Strange 2 on steroids, these endings.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I
It
think
really
this is
is.
and I think Life is Strange 2 isn't talked about enough for how great its endings are where choice actually matter,
Mhm.
and it feels like really the value of the stories added. And this game feels like it's now finally appreciating what Life is Strange 2 did, because not even Telltale Games did this really, and even Oxenfree was limited
Mhm.
as well in certain
Yeah.
respects. And I feel like this game does it. So like yours is amazing as well, but I think mine was very sentimental as well, where they're sitting in the
Yeah.
garage and they're, you know, they, you
If
know,
you If you sat next to a ghost of your younger self, what would you say to your younger self?
and be like, buy the sports almanac and get
Minus force
and bet as well.
invest into crypto.
Yes, we'll have like Biff Tannen headquarters in Michigan. That's gonna be
Yes.
my Velvet Cove nightmare. Do you know what? I always have that question as well. What do you when it's like, what would you like, if you sat with a younger version of yourself, and like people always get
Mm,
asked that question as well. I generally think at this point in my life, if I ever asked to speak to myself when I was younger, I wouldn't say anything because I wouldn't be the
mm,
person that I am now if I told them anything.
yeah.
I think you have to go through hardships and goods and bads and stuff like that, to get to where you're at. I think
Mm,
that's probably the one. So I think like I wouldn't tell anyone, but seeing the little like Nora and Swan for me in
mm.
my playthrough, and then seeing Kat's younger version
I stand
and
by my truffle shuffle comments.
Jesus Christ, oh god. Yeah, your ending was different though, and I like that though. I think it sets up really well
Yeah.
for that, and it's quite a nice fitting ending to the entire story. Because obviously, I think you have that entire montage sequence that plays where it has all your shots in it. And I know that Luke was
Yes.
terrible with his film recording clips, and mine were like, oh, I was like, what is happening here? It's like, what is going on with all these clips? I was like, they're
Yeah, I do
horrible.
like how, like, it puts the video in of what you filmed throughout, like, this game. I'm like, "Oh, in my next playthrough, I'm gonna have to go hard because like,
Yeah,
now I'm being like, this is the test now. Like, what did you do? What you do with your camera, boy?"
yeah,
So, yeah, no, it's quite fun. Yeah,
yeah.
great ending. Like, that's what I mean. Good ending for, like, a choice-based narrative game. Like, it wraps itself up
Is it the
for
ending?
your narrative.
Or is it like Stu? Wait, and a scary movie.
Oh, well,
Wait, there's more. Where Randy does it.
yes.
Well, because
Yeah,
obviously we have the section afterwards which plays.
the
Um,
after credits scene.
yeah, I love the moment when because Swans comes back into the car park with me, and then she sees the glow in the forest, and it's like,
Mm,
oh. And then in
yeah.
that sequence, for me, Swan walks through the forest briefly,
Mm,
sees the abyss, sees Cat, the young version of Cat.
yep.
She looks at the abyss, her eyes light up, and then the screen goes.
Same. Same,
And
but that's what I mean though, with all these people like saying like, "Oh, they didn't wrap up." I'm like, it's an anthology.
yeah,
Like it's an anthology. Like I feel like when I say that this game wraps up in a way that I thought it wraps it up in a way of just like, you really think this is over? No, this is just the beginning of the lore of Lost Records.
yeah,
So if this was a standalone game, again, I would have been like, what the hell was that? But because we both know it's
yeah,
an anthology, that's why I think that the game wrapped it up really well with that last scene, you
yeah.
know?
Well, as you said, it's Lost Records. Bloom and Rage is the band with the four girls. That will
Yeah.
change in the next entry. It'll be Lost Records, Adnan and Adam as the next game. Just giving them pictures, Adam. Be quiet. Just like,
No, I'm saying Lost Records, cheesesteaks and Liberty Bells. It's set in Philly, baby. Bolt cut bolt cutters and sledgehammers. Let's go.
See, for me though, any of the like this is again my defense for this. This is why I get a perfect score because for me, you might feel a bit dissatisfied whichever ending you get. But for me,
Mm,
Swan to end the game on her own is also Swan Holloway. She's an introvert.
yeah,
She's forever an
yeah,
introvert. She will always be alone, but then she always remembers the people around her. It's no different from
yes.
Max. No different from Max standing at the end of the first game with Chloe's casket in front of her, and she's on her own. Literally mirroring so many opposites here, where you see what he's doing with his style, and that's representative of Michelle's storytelling. And for me, that's a good metaphor because I think people said that Swan went into the abyss, but from I didn't see that. Like she's just standing there. And I think unless they
No.
think that she's getting transfixed and then she's going to go into the abyss, because Cat's whispers happen and like you hear audio from her when she's talking to Swan. I didn't see her jump into the abyss. She stood on the edge and like her eyes changed. 'Cause obviously, the abyss is talking to her. But the other things that come from me as well, for example, is like for future games with the abyss, that also opens up the opportunity where Corey's not dead, Cat's not dead,
Mm,
Swan's not
yeah,
dead, because anyone can go into the abyss, and maybe it opens up into another world again, Jumanji style. Remember when Robin Williams comes out in that timeline with the young
yeah,
kids, and it's like, oh, it's like yeah, and it's like you move people around, and maybe it is that kind of mechanic. Because obviously there's that other clip as well where Cat is recording from the abyss, and it's like,
yes.
but then she say she was dead. You're assuming that the abyss is this evil entity like an alien, and it's like it's like the worm in Return of the Jedi. It eats you up,
Mm,
bang, you're done. Like that's what it's
yeah,
doing to you. It's not like that. It's this portal, and whatever it's offering is what it's offering. It appears in front of people, and it does what it does, and then it disappears. Because remember, the abyss goes at the end of that when Kat and Corey go, gone, and then it reappears.
yes.
Why has it reappeared the way it has now? Why has it come back 27 years later?
Mm,
All the dots start connecting. Um, But I thought the ending was very interesting, and I think it's a very good cliffhanger ending in the sense that technically that's the story done. Because here's
Yeah.
it as well. That ending, for example, is no different from the first Life is Strange. Because where do you
Mm.
set a sequel up then? Because the choices are so different in terms of the pivoting you can make. It's almost like when Square Enix tried to make Double Exposure, and it was just like, no, you can't do it because unless you try and respect those endings, that it's going to work. This one's setting up again where it's like you could make a sequel maybe, but it'd be very difficult. Like where the
Well, you
game is
could set
stationed.
it up, in Philly. It would be a perfect sequence set in Philly as I'm wearing a Colorado hat, but like still, Luke, Michelle, talk to me. Let's go. We can make it happen. Huh? Huh? I don't know. We'll see. We'll see.
The Abyss doesn't want to eat the riffraff of Philadelphia. Let's just leave it at that, or
Dude,
Pennsylvania.
it's just like it's just like a 2 minute game. Like, whoop,
Yeah,
nope.
yeah. I'm out of here. But yeah, it was an interesting ending though. I don't know what other people were expecting. My personal, I was like, this is actually a really good ending. It's like,
I think there's two factors. So, one you
yeah,
named and one that I named. One you named is that people are expecting this to be the Life is Strange
yeah,
spiritual successor. So they're expecting it to end like a Life is Strange game, very much just like very concise and very just like all your ties put together, everyone's in love, yada yada. The one that I did, right, nobody thinks this is an anthology. People
yeah,
think this is just Lost Records Bloom and Rage, like this is what the game will be.
yes,
um so they don't understand that like this needs to set up for a universe rather than like a narrative story.
yeah,
So I think the expectations kind of like set this out in the same way that I didn't like Life is Strange 2 as much as other people
yeah,
did. Like when that
yeah,
first came out, like my expectations were in a different place. I was also in a bad pace in my life, so a lot of things weren't working out. Um but yeah, no, I think it's just more of like expectations for what it is.
yeah. Maybe so. Maybe so. I think you have to. Because this is where I think where, for example, like even we were wrong with things, but like where the fairies went too like that with people, where they were like building fairies off like do you know like it felt like it was never something Michelle was going to write, and it went down this like all these kind of routes where you're thinking like the story's never going to go down that route because it's not meant to be like that, and like for me with Swan as well, whatever the representation of her is great because like even that ending that you had, for example, where she goes into the forest and she sees the girls playing music, that is literally mirror image of her, for example, going meeting the girls in the first place because she's on her own.
Yes.
The entire first portion of the game is so slow because you are a deep introvert on your own exploring the world, and she's again doing it, and she finds that memory which is like keeping her like alive in sense. And again, it's like all the little metaphors and stuff. This is why I think the game is like a 5 out of 5 because I could write like an essay on Swan or like a thesis, and I think I'd never get lost because it's like it's so nuanced in so many different things, and it's an evolution of Life is Strange. Like this is what Life is Strange should be technically now in 2025, and it's not even doing that right now.
Yes.
But it's like this game evolves in a way where it's not being Life is Strange. And I set my expectations last year saying that stop calling this a spiritual successor because it's from the creators of Life is Strange, but they're treating this as something completely different and it's in its own thing. And if you appreciate it for that, I think you can really enjoy the game. But I think the ending sets up a really big mystery, and I think obviously the abyss is not sealed up as well, which is the main thing. So I think that's going to be the setting up for the next game. But I'm excited to see what they do with it because I think there's a lot of potential with it. I think you got a good foundation, even amid all the earlier stuff we were talking about as well. Like as long as it's a strong success and it's like decent success, and I think Don't Know seems to signal that in its like report where it's like it will hopefully benefit in the long run and long term.
Mhm.
That's good for them because it'll give a foundation. But I think marketing and like big pushes on certain things, it could really go somewhere here. It just needs that little impetus, like to
Yes.
throw it a bit further because the story is there. The story is great, man. The story is great. I've like spoken to people who work in this industry and they love what Donut do. Their storytelling and the way they're masterful in certain ways, man. And Michelle's inspiration is all from the 90s, man. Like, look, you all if you go and watch it, it's a David Lynch thing, and it's like you can see where the influence comes from. Is he's like that stacked influence that he's got from things, and same with Jean Luc and other people at the studio as well. So it's like they all know what they're doing, the components of that. And I think it's a very good starting point for Donut Montreal. I think it's a very good game that they produced here, and I was very happy with it. Um, and yeah, and the ending's very fantastic. So I felt really sentimental towards the end. I thought that I had really cared more about the adult timeline anyway. I thought the adult
Mm.
timeline was the one that really hit it. And Michel did an interview where he said like the game was concepted around the bar. He's like, that's where we started
Mm.
with the concept of it. And it makes a lot more sense where I was really connecting with it. And I just love the fact when you get Swan and she like looks in her outfit and you look at each other like, oh, it's like I've grown with this person and I've really enjoyed that
Yeah.
experience with her. Um, yeah, it's a great game.
Yeah, I thought it wrapped itself really nicely. It's a good narrative driven game. There's definitely worse ones out there, and unfortunately, I think this is going to be ignored for the most part because 2025 is stacked, and especially the time frame this was coming out. But I hope people don't sleep on this game. I put that blue sky out, just like saying like, hey, do not sleep on this game, man.
Yeah,
Like, it is a well-deserved story to look at, especially if you, like, were around the '90s, if you like, reminiscing about your teenage years. So this is just an interesting story, all around. Like, the ending definitely got me. So,
yeah.
um, no, the music's fantastic, and it's on Bandcamp, by the way. The
That
soundtrack is on Bandcamp.
soundtrack,
Yes,
Nora
it's
Kelly, Milk and Bones.
€10, by the way. It's only on sale for, €10, which is 11.39 my price. So, yeah. No,
Mate, that
yeah.
genuinely that soundtrack, Milk and Bone, Nora Kelly Band, Ruth
Mhm.
Radler, Adam Walker, Nat Miller, the former Chromatic
Yes.
members. Oh my god, it's one of the yeah. Imagine if this game had come out in 2015.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It's just like it's such a good reminiscence of just 2015 of, like, how games were,
Yeah,
back in the day, 10 years ago. Um, no, it's just a well-deserved, like, look at for this game. Um Honestly, man, it's like it's tied for me in terms of soundtrack for what I've played so far this year, and, like, that's tied with South of Midnight's soundtrack, which is insanely good, dude.
yeah.
But we're early in the year, and so far, 2 banger soundtracks, I'm like, "You're not gonna beat these 2. Like, how are you gonna
Yeah,
beat these 2?" So, um, yeah, no, I hope people don't sleep on this game. I hope people play it. I hope
I
people
hope
buy it.
so. I hope so.
Yeah.
I hope people, like, pick it up and play it, and there's a physical release. I think in the climate of things, it'll be a steady success, and I hope that Don't Nod and again, we'll talk this on Strangecast when it comes up, like, obviously, we're looking at the earnings and what Oscar Gobert said. Like, Oscar Gobert really needs to put the marketing behind this game and the team and a publisher, like, a publisher, even if it's a third-party marketing lasing deal, something like that, just someone to drive it. That doesn't guarantee success, let me just say that as well, because Banishers had a third-party publisher and flopped, and you saw the state and it's
Play
focused as well.
Banishers, dude.
But but
Oh,
but this is what I mean, the climate is so rough for the industry either or. Don't Nod needs to
not just
this
that, but, like, the climate's rough and the Switch 2 is coming out. Like,
yeah.
there's a lot of attention on a lot of different things, man.
Well, there's
It's
also the
insane.
tariff. We talked about the massive, like, when it was like, I think one of our listeners commented saying this is going to be a short episode, and it turned out to be like 4 hours, and it's like, yeah. But we
Yeah.
talk about like the climate of the industry and the way that even like Deck Nine is adapting and other studios are doing that. This is what happens with it, and I think like the only thing that would be good as well is that if this does well and then it starts appearing on the earnings saying that this is a royalties that the license is starting to make money because it's but Juice On and Banishers are on there, but again they've written down and they already confirmed that there were flops from the perspective. So this needs to appear on that box with
So
a
mad about that, dude. I'm
yeah,
so upset about that, especially Banishers, man.
Focus
Oh,
didn't Focus didn't do a good job marketing with Don't Nod, and I think the way that the game moved and the way it kept delaying and it got to the delay point, I think it just didn't help it. But with this game, though, at least that there are good things with it, and as long as it's a steady success, maybe they find a better to entry, like a stronger, even more prolific entry in the series.
can I just geek on Banishers for, like, one little
Yeah,
fact
God,
here? The soundtrack for Banishers is so good, and I'm like, "Man, this guy's really good at, like, Nordic sound. What else has he composed?" He composed the soundtrack to Vikings, the show Vikings. I'm like, "Dog, the soundtrack in Banishers, oh, so good, dude." So, yeah, play Banishers, play Jusan, play Lost Records if you haven't, which if you have, why are you in the if you haven't, Spoilercast. I don't understand why you're here, but yeah, tell your friends, tell your mom, tell your dad. My dad's dead, but I would tell him if he was
oh
alive.
Jesus Christ! Like, I think we'll end that point as well. You had to bring that one, didn't you? You got the Life is Strange motif going on here with the father figure missing. Again,
Yeah.
that's a Michelle style as well in the story and Jean Luc. I'd love to interview. Michelle, please come on our podcast. I'd love to ask you. I would like genuinely spend more
I
time with
promise I'll
you.
be nice, Michelle. I promise
Bring
I'll
Luke.
be
Luke will hold. Will keep you like intact from us. No, because those are the questions I'd love to ask Michelle because like I always point this out as well. For example, like even with Spielberg, Spielberg's father figures are always missing from his films. Like the early Spielberg, great Spielberg
mm.
stuff, it's missing because it's an auteur signature, and it feels like Michel does something like this in his games where he's hiding certain things. And it feels like it's reflective of either him or Jean Luc or whoever it is. So I feel like I'd love to ask him questions about stuff like that.
Are you
Um,
gonna be like, "Michelle, tell us about your dad, Michelle. Well, where's your dad? Where's
Nah,
Papa?"
I'm not in that. I'm not in that set. Should I get him like lying? Should we get him lying yourself behind and do the cliche
Yeah, I got
psychiatry
stuff right
session?
here. That's how we're interviewing. Like, he just comes down to where I live, like, "Okay, ask him all the questions." I'll just, like, tell him what question you're asking.
I think we should wrap up because we've been on for a while, and we were going to split this up as
Yes.
well. But I think
Mm.
we're just going to put it out together for all of you. So I hope you enjoyed watching it. It's a long record as well, so I hope it's entertained you and you found a lot of joy of this game. And let us know what you think of the game as well. Obviously, it's great. Stay tuned. Me and
Mm.
Adam are working on something. Fingers crossed it comes off. I won't say anything more than that, but we are working on something at the moment. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed the game, and we I think 5 stars for me is great. I would have come down to 4 point if you'd have tried to argue, but I feel like
Yeah.
this is going to stick with me for the year. I think it's a great game. I don't think it's better than the first Life is Strange. I think that will be Michelle's gold standard. I think it's going to be the same as Kojima, where it's Metal Gear Solid. It's always going to be that thing that is defining because it's changed everything. But this is a very strong game, like and I
So
think
far, all of Donut's games are, like, sticking with me. Banishers, Jusant, Gerda,
yeah.
Lost Records, all are just sticking with me. Harmony, I love the story of Harmony. Like, all of these Donut games that are coming out, uh, how many have you played, Adnan?
I played Remember Me, Life is Strange 2, Lost
We're talking about
Records,
the
Tell Me
recent
Why.
ones. Oh, man. Oh, did you finally
Um,
play Tell Me Why? Oh, wait, no, no,
I
no,
didn't know
I'm thinking of,
podcast.
Twin Mirror. Twin Mirror,
I
I was
own
thinking
Twin
Twin Mirror.
Mirror. I also own Vampire as well. They're
Yes.
both on my PS5. Once my counseling course finishes and I get a bit more of my life back, I will definitely sit down and like play all these. 'Cause I do
Yeah.
want to get through the
Oh,
backlog
yeah,
now.
like, the latest Don't Nod games have been hitting with me, dude, and it's just, like, it's a shame that people aren't buying it.
Your thing is always like don't know when they're doing like the Lonesome Guild and stuff. Well, let's do it in the Strange Cast. I think it's more relevant for that because I think these games have a place for Don't Nod to publish, but they do need to do what they're doing now, where it's the reorganization. It's like we're going for a higher property yielding kind of like IP that we can make because you have the talent there. All you just need to do is deploy it on the project. So let's talk about on the next podcast because we have Strange. I think we should have Strange Cast coming up, and I think we'll try and do a Lost Records journal in between it. And again, hopefully working on something else. I'm trying to get that going. So as you will, but yeah, I hope you enjoyed this episode. Thank you for joining us as always as well. We've been on one hell of a journey here, and obviously there's a lot to come with Lost Records as we keep covering it going forward as well amid everything post release and all that. And I think there's a lot of interviews that we can catch up as well and Adam as well. But yeah, hope you enjoyed this episode. If you did, please do like the video, share with your friends, like this video. Even if you didn't like it, like it. Otherwise, you know what's going to
Yes.
happen. See what happens to me and Adam are going to be in harmony with the abyss, and you're going to be pulled in. Me and Adam are just going to float like we did in the cat. It's gonna be like me and you in the in the cavern. Light's gonna come out, bang, 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 and we're just like floating and they get thrown into the abyss. That's what's going to happen. Yeah. So like the video, share it. We're almost at 1,700 subscribers. So if you can help us get there, that's fantastic. I really hope you enjoyed this episode. If Michelle and Luke somehow watch this, uh, congratulations on this game. Even to the Don't Know Montreal team, anyone else who watches it, fantastic. Marin, unbelievable trailers. I went and watched the launch trailer. It was just Marin
Yeah.
doing another fantastic trailer for them. So, amazing game. And obviously we're looking forward to the future. And yeah, if you are listening to our podcast, you should like send them messages on Twitter or Blue Sky saying that they
Mm.
should come on here. The door has always been open for them to come on here. We'd love to chat with them. Anyway, what I'm sending this is me, Judge Riaz, sending the Ravens after them.
Ask them, don't harass them.
Yeah, did I? Oh yeah, harass them to the point where they never want to come on. Yeah, that'll be a
You
fantastic
have to be
MO, wouldn't it?
careful on the internet, man. You have to be careful. Like, these internet trolls, they can get a little bit much.
Yeah, that's just like yellow flash hockey should be like, go on the podcast, Michelle, or else. And I'm like, oh god, I'm like,
Or
look what's happened there. Or
exactly,
it's like
man.
KJL, Life is 2D, and I'm like, oh, fantastic. I'm like, here we go. Like that didn't end well. Yeah, please invite them on, just like the Ravens invite people into the abyss. invite them on. But yeah, anyway, we're gonna wrap up here because we're going on for too long. I
You're
hope you
calling our
enjoyed.
podcast The Abyss?
I'm gonna throw you in the abyss. Someone said on the last podcast to throw you in the abyss. Thankfully, you've been spared a sentence here, like custodial
Yes.
suspended. So as you will. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed, and we'll wrap up here because it's gone for too long. I hope you enjoyed this episode, and yeah, stick with us. We've got more content coming soon. See you later, guys. Bye.
Later.